looking for you lately. It's been a little crazy, but maybe that's okay. Beauty like the sunrise, eyes like the moonlight. Hold my hand, it's alright, yeah. Love me like a ghost. With you I get chills. Ooh, I love the thrill, oh yeah. Love me like a ghost. Never let me go. Walking through these walls, oh yeah. Love me like a ghost. With you I get chills. Ooh, I love the thrill, oh yeah. Love me like a ghost. Walking through these walls. Never let me go. I'm a curious man with some curious genes. I get that from my dad. I'm not far from the tree. I feel like I'm a butterfly, sting like a beamer. I hate features. Done my running around with my head in the clouds, feeling lost and then found. When they woke up and frowned, tell myself I'm the man. I was right to be left. Now I'm back to myself. Who am I to keep on holding you from everything you want? I can see you want to, but you want. Who am I to? Who am I? Da, 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 da. Who am I? Da, 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 da. Who am I to keep you in the
looking right, left, going straight. Don't know where to go, wanna hide away. I'm reflecting myself. You are no good for me.
It is knockout time here at the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends Winter Split. 30,000 screaming G2 fans couldn't stop me in Paris, but the National Rail Service stopped me from being here last week. But I'm glad to be back. My name is Stanley Greyheart Barker, and I'm joined by the wonderful master of the pre-season. It is, of course, Stuart Papasin McLeod.
Happy to be here, and of course we are in the top 8 now. We're down to the final 8 teams. We saw last week in the dying moments of the group stages, Pirates scraped their way through, and today we'll be going up against the Steelers. And on the other side, it was the Bristol Brawlers and the Centurions that barely scraped their way through, but the Centurions had to rely on a loss from Tyneside to get through it. We watched that one on stream, and Tyneside unfortunately couldn't make an upset happen, so Centurions are going to be up against the Lionhearts.
And it was the Invincibles who we saw Tyneside failing to beat. They're going up against the Claymores today. Just to complete it out there, we can see that it's the Harriers and the Brawlers will also be a featured match for us. Those two games coming to you live on stream. They are best of threes, with the winners getting themselves one step closer to that grand final. It's all hotting up here in the Winter Split.
And with Harriers ending a best-of-3 series in 43 minutes last week, they are on hot form, so I'm excited to see how they look coming into this matchup against the Brawlers.
And speaking of the Harriers, there they are. Zuni, Coffee, Phantom, Regan, One Man Army, and Pokimoki99.
And on the other side, we're going to have Thane, Gelatin Skeleton, Paige, Addy, and Nice Penta Idiot. I know he's one of your favorites.
Certainly is. An absolute favourite name of mine. Nice Penta Idiot is something I would have been saying to one of my teammates in ARAM recently, but unfortunately some goon stole his Penta away from him. I don't know who would ever do that to someone, but...
who would ever steal a Penta from somebody after doing all the work to guarantee them the Penta at the very last minute deny it from them with a snowball? Who would do such a thing? It's definitely not me.
Certainly not someone who was cosplaying George GNC while playing Gragas, but we're going to be bringing you straight into the action. We are going into game number 1 of this series. Harriers, like you say, they looked so strong last week. I mean, what was it, 43 minutes?
43 minutes they ended a best-of-3 series in. And we'd said previously that they'd struggled in those best-of-3 series where they looked really strong in game 1. They'd have those quick games, but they sort of died off as the series went on. Seeing a game 2 performance that dominant from them put them in great stead for the playoffs, where they need to be on top form consistently against better teams. They can't have those game 2 slip-ups, and we didn't see any last time around.
We did not see any last time around. Something I did see last time around in the chat, on Twitch chat, which I was keeping a good eye on while unfortunately wasn't able to be here myself, was a bit of a hate for the fact you were wearing an FPX jersey. Now I want to bring that hate back up again, because I'll tell you what, I was one of about 100 people in that stadium in Paris cheering for FPX. I was loving the fact that they'd pick up the win, so we're united in that one. And speaking of united, the Brawlers will have to be united if they want to take down the Harriers today, already banning away the Nautilus, the Syndra and the Camille. In response, Harriers taking away Corki, Olaf and Zaya.
So notable that this is the first week that Senna's been enabled as well, and it's a champion that we've seen a lot of people touting as one of the strongest supports in the game at the very moment. With that AD support item finally added in, it helps us scale even better as the game goes on, and it really is enabling her to pressure a lot of games out. But seeing the Zaya band away, they go for the Rakan still, who's significantly weaker without access to the Zaya extra range on the E, the empowered W to give that extra damage. So they're choosing to go for him still as an engaged threat.
No,
they want that hard engage.
I was going to say no access for Rakan, but axes for the Harriers. Once again, he's been given his trademark champion, the Draven, being picked up for iThrow.
And this is an incredible duo because it makes Draven impossible to CC. And also, Draven's not bad into Rakan because he wants to go for that dash. You can interrupt him with the E. The E, of course, will just knock Rakan out of his dash entirely and set you up to be able to get those kills. Morgana going to deny a lot of those engages from the Rakan, so going for the Caitlyn as well is necessary to try and keep that Draven at a range. And it looks like they're really going to struggle through bot lane, and bot lane is how Kingston Harriers have won most of the games.
Of course, there is a potential flex here coming out of the Morgana, but it is back to your old standard. Pick in your bot lane, take your jungler early. That's definitely what the Brawlers have opted into, locking in that Zac last of all here for this first phase. I'm expecting to see a jungler counterpick.
I'm expecting to see a lot of focus towards bot lane here, and one thing that's interesting though is Kingston Harriers, we talk about their bot lane a lot. We talk about iThrow Axis and how he's dominated so many games, but what you're looking at beyond that is Regan in the mid lane, who consistently, when his bot lane has had more issues or hasn't quite been a solo carry performance, he has been there grinding his team through those games. His Syndra, incredible. His control mages, he's been adept at every single time. And so you have to be aware that Regan is going to use the control he gains in mid lane to snowball that bot lane even further ahead if he goes unchecked.
With mid laners and top laners not picked up by either team, unless of course that Morgana gets flexed, I'm expecting to see the bans very much so being directed, obviously, towards the top side of this Mordekaiser. I'm expecting the Brawlers to take away more of these potential control mages. We've seen an Orianna out of Regan before. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that taken away from him, so he can't have the sort of impact you were just talking about.
But the Bristol Brawlers have got to give a lot of respect. They leave the Draven up willingly, but they look at their bans here. They are very targeted. We've seen the Nautilus consistently from This Is a Short Name, like these engage supports that want to play aggressively. We've seen the Syndra as one of Regan's best champions, and that Camille in the top lane consistently from high BMI, low IQ has been one of the mainstays for this roster. So they clearly did their research and decided we can play through the Draven. Now we have to see in this game 1, is that a cocky decision or are they going to be punished for it?
Well, we will find out as we get into the game. Of course, we're going to get to see the opportunity to check out these second wave of picks very, very shortly. Interesting to see what Harriers go for now. Will they show their hand with the mid lane or the top side? Will they still keep some kind of flex available just to try and bamboozle the Brawlers, who have banned Ahri out as their final champion?
So I believe they actually want to save counterpick here for high BMI, low IQ, because This Is a Short Name. He can play those control mages, and they aren't really hard counted in the mid lane. They aren't really they don't really struggle that much into many matchups. But we did see his Ahri last week as well, which is a more aggressive pick, and it's more in line with what we're seeing here as well with the Akali, another assassin that he's trusting. He is going to outplay Thanos.
And yet again, Akali is the potential flex. We can see this go up into the top lane. We can see it in the mid lane. It makes that a little bit more difficult for the Brawlers to know exactly what they're going up again. They've locked in the Galio so far. Seems like a pick that says probably going to be seeing the Akali in the mid lane. Let's play this into it.
Yeah, the Galio almost certainly mid lane to try and deny the Akali as best you can. Get the Zac in. You've got a big bruisery front line for the Caitlyn to be able to deal DPS. Now you need another DPS dealer in the top lane. You need somebody who has a lot of damage in the kit, and Kled is exactly that. You've got such a beefy front line now that is going to be doing so much disruption to Akali, to Draven, and their plan is to get to a stage in the game where they can play front to back. But playing front to back against Fiora, Akali, Draven is incredibly difficult because they can find your backline and destroy them incredibly quickly.
It is going to very much be a case of who destroys who faster, because the fights are going to be absolutely frantic. You're going to have that grand entrance coming in, the heroic entrance, the quickness coming in, the heroic entrance from the Galio as well. You're going to have Zac Elastic slingshotting in, Kled is going to be charging. All of a sudden, if Caitlyn gets isolated and ends up with an Akali on her face, or a Fiora if deciding to not split push, who knows what could happen here.
So, let's look down the matchups here, because Fiora in the top lane versus Kled. This is, as you said, it's a split push matchup where Fiora is now building Sanguine Blade entirely, but this is a matchup that's entirely considered a Fiora counters Kled rather, because she is so good at just having these extended trades where she can dart in and out. She doesn't have to play around Kled's aggression once he gets dismounted. She can back off and get ready for another trade in and out effectively, but can stick to him once she gets him off of his mount to just kill him instantly. And Kled can't even land his Q because it's so easy to get that parry timing down that it means that he doesn't even get the grievous wounds from the pull, which was a change a while ago, and he's going to really struggle in that matchup. So a lot of pressure here comes down to this jungle. We've said what Bristol Brawlers want to do, and it's, you know, if you play TFT, this is a brawler style game. You look at the Zac, you look at the Galio, and you look at the Kled. These are all big frontliners that want to give space for a Caitlyn to deal damage. But Kingston Harriers don't want to give them that space at all. They are looking to split up these fights entirely. It is incredibly unlikely that you're going to find any of these 5 members stacked on top of each other than the bot lane. So finding an engage is going to be very difficult. You're going to have to have your eyes open and the wards placed, because Akali is going to be moving around this map, pressuring everywhere, and Galio has to be ready to at all times to catch up.
Okay, well, the thing that concerns me, however, for the Harriers is there is so much engage potential for the Brawlers. They've got, like we say, I mean, I've listed the whole list of them, which maybe might leave the Caitlyn isolated, but equally might leave the Harriers exposed if the engage comes through strong from the Brawlers, if the Harriers aren't stacked up well enough.
So the issue comes here. If Harriers get to a point in the game where they're looking to play around objectives like Baron and Elder, especially with the fourth dragon being that soul now, it's a big change that means that the 4th dragon is that much more valuable. So having to group up for those kind of objectives, you need to have an advantage already in the game. You need to avoid those team fights, though, because of their composition. So they need to be able to play aggressive early enough to get a lead to transition into those fights. Otherwise, they're going to be stacked on top of each other because they have to be to play around these objectives, and that is where Bristol Brawlers can to pick up this game.
So with all of that being said, looking at the win conditions for the both teams, the playstyles they are looking for, especially looking at the Harriers with their absolute demolition last week, how are you feeling going into this game?
I throw Axis is going to destroy the bot lane 2v2. These are the two strongest. these are the two strongest AD carries, though, that I believe we've seen this season in Arena Clash. I would give Gelatin Skeleton and I throw as because unfortunately we didn't really see a Lionheart's game, so I can't comment too much on that. But these two, from what we've seen on the stream, is the epitome of aggressive AD carries carrying through the bot lane. And Gelatin Skeleton's been doing that on Ashe as his namesake for the club tag, but having that much aggression and being able to carry that hard as Ashe was a surprise. Doing it on Draven is a standard, so I'd be interested to see if they can put the resources necessary into Gelatin Skeleton, play as this kind of stack all 5 members in the bot lane, and blow this open early.
This is, of course, a best-of-3 series, so if we do see the Draven really exploding in this game, and as you say, demolishing in that 2v2 scenario down the bot lane, don't be surprised to see that one taken away. Perhaps the Ashe, the clan tag of Gelatin Skeleton here, might be seen later on. Of course, one of the things we've not touched massively on so far, Sin, is the fact that we are now in the pre-season patch. So yes, we've got Senna enabled, but so much more is going on the Rift.
Yeah, we made a couple mentions to key new changes. There's a Sanguine Blade in the top lane is going to be a big break point for potentially either of these champions. The new lethality item that when one or less champion is in vision range, you get 50 to 100% attack speed bonus. Insane amount of attack speed you get from that means that you need to send 2 members to deal with a Fiora in the late game, and even so, she'll kill one of them and then get the boost on killing the second with her ultimate. So if she's got a lead, she becomes near unstoppable. Kled, you could say the same for, however, even though he's a much more teamfight-oriented champion, his ability to stick to people and deal DPS is incredible.
Okay, and of course one of the things that everybody's talking about going into pre-season is the real change to the Rift, and that is through the dragons.
Yes.
So not only have the elemental dragons, some of their stats have changed that you get, the little the stat stick, but also the way the Rift itself will be changing come that 3rd dragon.
Yeah, so the first 2 dragons are entirely unique dragons. You're not going to see any more of those dragons once they're dead for the rest of the game, but the 3rd dragon will dictate how the map changes. Every dragon from then on out until one team has 4 dragons will be the same dragon. For example, if the 3rd dragon's Ocean and one team's already got 3 dragons, there'll be one more Ocean afterwards, and then the Elder Dragon will spawn. If there's 3 dragons taken by either team, then one team will have to get 3 oceans before they get that ocean soul. Yep. And it can mean a lot of stats go to one person, because the ocean soul in particular is one that I think people are really saying needs to be balanced. But the changes to the map are the more interesting part. All these new brushes that appear with the ocean, the cloud giving that extra rotational speed, which would really help with the sort of split pushing of the Kled and the Fiora. You look at the Infernal, which knocks down a bunch of walls, making it significantly easier to invade if you're playing a Conqueror aggressive jungler like the Kayn this game against the Zac, where you get so much easier invades. However, less walls to go through.
I was just thinking that, yeah. There are certainly certain champions that are going to prefer certain parts of the Rift, and it is very much a lottery. It's
like
not
Rango with Ocean.
It's not like you know a game is going to have one or the other, so you take it a little, you roll the dice to an extent, and you hope that the numbers come up in your favour.
Spin the wheel!
That's what's got to be done. A thing that I don't think has been getting enough talked about is the small changes in the top and the bot lane, the extra little alcoves. What are your thoughts on those?
They enable ranged into melee matchups to be significantly easier in the top side of the map, because you can dip into that alcove as a melee champion, and you force them, because of the vision range and they're being so short, to walk into engage range. And if they're in engage range against a melee, they're not going to have the ability to respond and trade the same way they usually do. Imagine if you're a Darius versus a Quinn, and you're walking up, you can't get to the wave, so you dip into that alcove, you get to walk all the way up behind her into melee range before she gets vision of you. She has to respect that. She has to have a ward there if she's going to control the top side, and it means she's more susceptible to ganks because of it. There's this really interesting trade-off that's now being made.
I'm really glad you touched on the ward there, because one of the things I've been seeing a lot in the games that I've been watching over the last day or so has been the fact that use of the vision ward or even a control ward has been burned on popping it just over the alcove, and suddenly that leaves you that little bit more vulnerable, because that's a ward that you can't place somewhere else to protect yourself from a gank.
Yeah, it's exactly that. You're trying to prioritize lane dominance over the fact that you don't have vision to stop ganks. And it's giving junglers a lot more early game priority again, and the fact that the ability to hit level 3 off of 3 camps is not just clearing all the red side camps anymore. You can go, for example, red into Krugs into blue, and that's level 3. You can go red into Gromp into blue, that's level 3. There's a lot more 3-camp level 3s than there were previously, which means that junglers like Xin Zhao, for example, and Zac even, are going to have a lot easier time clearing 3 camps than going into a really aggressive gank. And that first gank now is very important for the timing on those lanes, because those lanes are just hitting level 3 at the time, still level 2 maybe. If one person's had significant zoning potential, they're still level 2 in that lane against the level 1, and it means that you get to dictate the entire tempo of a lane based on that 3-camp start. I
mean, both of us are junglers, certainly.
Yes.
We spend most of our time on the Rift. I feel like there's a lot of people still trying to work out exactly how to balance the difference between your ganking and your farming style. Of course, there are changes now with the smaller creatures coming back every 2 minutes, so they're going to be there more often. Something like a Shyvana can power farm even more rapidly.
Yes.
But at the same time, you don't want to leave your team hanging for too long.
So my sort of studies so far have concluded that just power farming doesn't work so well, unfortunately. You end up spending you still end up spending a bit of time waiting for the camps to spawn as you kind of walk from camps to camps as they spawn. What you're better off doing is, because the camps spawn so quickly, you go aggressive on the map after you've done your clear, and then by the time you've made your aggressive move, you can recall, and then there's a full clear ready for you yet again, that much quicker than normal. So the full clear into aggressive play into full clear seems to be the setup for success, where you maximize your experience input and your aggressiveness on the map.
Well, that's certainly something that I'm going to be looking to try and balance out for myself. Whether or not these 2 teams will have found that balance themselves, I guess we get to find out when we jump onto the Rift very shortly. We are just dealing with a small pause at the moment, and as soon as that is dealt with, we'll be bringing you straight into the game. If you're interested in finding out more about any of the stuff that myself and Sin have been discussing there, then do let us know. Do let us know. Don't let us know. Just go jump on YouTube, go and search out some informative videos. There's a great one out there by Philol. Go and check him out and see all the stuff that he's posted. Most of the stuff we went over there in slightly less detail is all on there, along with all the other stuff that you're dealing with in pre-season. And while you're on YouTube, why not jump onto our YouTube channel as well and check out some of the games over on Belong Arena Clash, and you can go and see some of the games through this split, and even going back into the past. We've got some great matches that happened in Insomnia, something that I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully happening again next year. I'm certainly hoping to be there, and I'm sure you are too.
I'm looking forward to the finals of this season as well.
Oh yes,
going to be around the middle of December, so I'm excited to meet up with everybody else, as it's going to be in Bristol. We're going to meet up with everybody. We get to see like the Mortal Kombat guys and the Overwatch guys are going to be there. I believe the FIFA and Rocket League guys are going to be there early in the week as well. So it's going to be great having sort of like an arena clash fest.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely great. I mean, I think, if I remember correctly, it's December 14th, which I think is the Saturday for the League of Legends. So,
yes.
If you happen to be around the Bristol store, please do pop by and come say hey, get some autographs from, the wonderful Sin.
My signature looks awful. I don't
have
a proper
that's
signature.
the secret to being a great celebrity, though. You have to have an awful signature.
You know when you get asked to sign
is basically a circle, and then
you know when you get asked to sign for a package, and I just go, okay.
I just do a line.
I'm
not even joking.
I just go and it kind of just looks like a bunch of N's and M's, and it's just random.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Oh, thank you.
That's about all my signature is in those cases. Either that, or it's like my name in like really awful cursive, and that's about it.
Oh well.
Have you actually practiced the signature?
I mean, in the situation you're talking about, the classic delivery, I literally just do a line across, because they do not give a flying monkey what you put on that. They're just going to go, yep, sure, this is your package, even if it looks nothing like your name. So I just save the time by just practically putting a dot on. For signature, I have a signature. It's pretty neato. I've 2 whole times I've had people ask for it, and it felt pretty good. Admittedly, one of them went, thanks, Munchables, but that was that was a pretty bad feeling, to be honest. But you know what?
That's a bit of a rip.
Being mixed up with a great guy like that is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm actually a lot of things have been going on in League at the minute, so we've been really interested in keeping up to date. Obviously, the preseason's just been happening. all the preseason's been going on, but I'm really excited to see the roster changes that have been coming through from around the world. I know I was showing you the spreadsheet of keeping up to date. As Dardok's just been announced to going to TSM, for example. So the roster right now is looking to be Broken Blade, Dardok, Bjergsen, Cobby, and Biofrost, which is basically Bjergsen dictating to 4 people what they need to do on the map, because all of those players aren't very vocal. Cobby's okay, he's fairly vocal, but the rest of those, not at all vocal. Bjergsen gets to entirely dictate.
Still great?
Bjergsen's still great, but the issue he's had is TSM convinced themselves they needed to get a team that had multiple shot callers on it. So, like, they went for Mithy, they went for Smoothie, and these guys are both, like, shot calling supports. Before that, they had, like, Yellow Star, which didn't work out for them at all as well.
That was painful to watch.
Exactly, but like, this is all because you can't have Bjergsen and somebody else who wants to play a game a different way, especially now he's got equity in the team and he's a part owner of the team.
He's practically a manager at this point.
Yeah, if you mess up that gank at level 2, you know he could just boot you off the team at any minute. But is
that level of power good in a club situation like that? Because I mean, if that was I
don't think so.
A football analogy that you were using, I think that you would go, that is not a positive working environment.
The other example I can think of that's similar to it is Swift and Doenby, where Swift tried to get Doenby kicked off of the Xiaogu Reapers because he didn't enjoy playing with them and tried to get Dade instead.
Not that good though. I mean, really overrated player, right?
He got Doenby kicked out, even though Doenby was tied for MVP literally the season later. He tried to get split later rather. He tried to get him kicked out. He's had 3 MVPs and a World Championship since then. And Swift, what was
not
Swift
so
done?
much, yeah.
Swift's done nothing, and it's giving that kind of control to a player can be negative because obviously somebody can let their emotions dictate a lot of things, but I think that Bjergsen's a lot more mature than that, and I do expect him to try and keep what's best for the team in mind. All the same though, this roster is entirely designed to be 4 people I get to dictate to.
Yeah, it's
aggressive.
very much the Bjergsen show.
Yeah, so it's like if I get control in mid lane, I will enable Dardok to snowball my lead somewhere else on the map. If bot lane will go even because it's Cobby and Biofrost, 2 of the best laning players in the West. Biofrost really underrated in my opinion, but Cobby is so consistent. And then you got Broken Blade in the top lane who can go aggressive. They're players who can garner their own leads, but aren't very vocal. So he gets to dictate where these chess pieces go, and that's what could make this team great.
On the plus side, even if it goes badly, you know they're still going to get cheered at the World Finals. So
there were TSM chants the entire time.
There were more TSM chants than there were FPX chants in the World Finals. I promise you that from having been there.
Oh god.
But no, actually, my claim to fame from the finals was that not only was I sitting like 2 seats down from Doenby's wife, who was lovely by the way.
Was her name Umi?
Sure. Yeah. She was very pleasant. Didn't speak a huge amount, but you know, it was great. And all the cameras came over, and I was literally trying to dodge out the shot because I kind of looked like I did look like I didn't quite fit in with the crowd.
I know you, Opal, and Raywishu ended up with pictures together around there,
which
as
was great. We wished it could have been. We legitimately were saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if Sim was here?" But no. But my claim to fame was there's a great guy on Twitter to follow if you're looking into all sort of esports stuff. Fionn, the esports writer, and put out a tweet which I got tagged in going, Greyheart99, is this you? That's right, I used my full Twitter tag, so you can go follow me. And it basically just...
At Greyheart99. Do you want me to spell that out?
Bring it back up on the screen for me. Need to get the... Need to get that. Oh my, no! Need to get that plug in. Anyway, but yeah. So basically, it was he's there going. Atmosphere is incredible in here. One lone FPX fan is sitting a couple rows in front of me, trying to cheer his heart out. It's not working, and the G2 fans all think it's really cute. Got tagged, and it was like, yep, that's probably me. Looked around. Yes, it was.
2.5 games later, they stopped thinking it was cute.
Exactly. Yeah. 2.5 games later, he's still chanting. They don't think it's cute anymore. We're going to be able to bring you back into that game very, very soon. And I say back into game, actually, getting to see the start of the game.
What's your favourite roster move this off-season?
Well, you asked me this earlier on. The one that sort of surprised me the most, and I'm most interested to see how it plays out, is seeing how Clid goes, because I legitimately I'm still surprised that SKT lost that series against G2. I thought there was forward development available for the SKT squad as they were. I was surprised to see him branch away. Obviously, the money is good. It's not like he's going to China or anything. So I want to see how that ends up.
The money's still good. Genji is rolling in money. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why he's not moved over to China, perhaps. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. I think he's a fantastic player. I've personally would say probably the best jungler around at the minute, though Tian was obviously utterly insane in the final.
I believe that Clid is the best jungler in the world right now.
Yeah,
Tian
so I'm
is
with you on
a
that.
second place.
Yeah.
Tian is very good, but Clid was just on another he was insane.
Completely agree.
The fact that he stepped up so much from in the split where he was playing second fiddle to Tarzan for a lot of the year, and then in that summer split just became better. Like before the Rift Rivals, I think they were 1-5, and then suddenly they turned it around when they put effort in. That Rift Rivals, so that run of scrimming against these Chinese teams really turned SKT's favors around, and they took it all the way to the World semi-final. I didn't think they were going to make Worlds. A lot of people didn't think they were going to make Worlds halfway through summer, so it was still a very good performance.
We are on to the Rift, and at some point I would like to hear your answer to that question, because I know you have massively been following all of the changes. I want to know what you think, but right now I'm interested to see if this 5-man death brush that is being set up by the Kingston Harriers is going to lead to anything. So far, a defensive formation from the Brawlers does mean that we're just going to see a nice, slow and steady start. Interested to see that we have obviously got the Spell Thief with its new upgraded picture there for both Rakan and Morgana.
In double Spell Thief's Edge, and of course you get the 2 potions with it costing 400. As the support items did have their cost changed around for a while, but we're going to see the ward maybe killed in time, and it is. It's going to go to Draven as well. 1 ward kill gives you that little bit of extra experience. So you're going to hit level 2, 1 minion early. And in this bot lane that we already said is incredibly swingy and could go either way, 1 minion giving Draven level 2 before Caitlyn gets it could impact this dramatically.
So a little bit of vision gained by the Brawlers, but a little bit of gold gained by the Kingston Harriers, and also that experience as well that Sin is alluding to. Here's Regan finding out exactly where Pidge is going to be. Meanwhile, this is a bit of a cheeky play coming out of Gelatin, Skeleton and AD, as they maybe will look for an early engage onto the Draven Morgana.
Yeah, unfortunately, just going to get scouted out. But one thing I'm interested to see here is, I've not actually seen it, if the Morgana W has been changed back to get multi-procs on the Spell Thief's Edge. Because obviously I don't play support, I haven't seen much of this yet.
Nope, that's the thing that I know, but we will keep our eyes on that one. I have a feeling that it is still going to be as it was, but time will tell us the answer to that one, as Gelatin Skeleton takes a little bit of damage before throwing a Piltover Peacemaker straight back at iThrow and trading things out quite evenly. That extra range on the Caitlyn, definitely nice into iThrow, who knows his champion so very well.
Yeah, and that control he can get with the range advantage is where everything needs to come from in this lane, because this is a short lane. If he's able to position aggressively enough, land a nice binding that can set up the Draven, they will take over, but that zoning potential is enough to get Gelatin Skeleton level 2 first in this lane in spite of that ward kill.
And meanwhile, high PMI, low IQ does get caught out by the chain coming out. A nice pen to Idiot. Thane and Regan, they are also trading things out, and it's only a matter of time before we start getting some jungle interaction. We might not even need it, as Regan takes a real chunk of his health. Thane having to be careful here.
Regan really wanting to play aggressive, going for that electrocute over the more and more prevalent fleet footwork we've been seeing, but Coffee just gonna, just gonna check. Nice pen to Idiot's his positioning there, and he's going to be able to get out pretty cleanly.
Really good awareness as well from Coffee. You could see him playing right around the edges of where he would have taken turret aggro, just keeping himself safe. Meanwhile, first dash is not going to connect. This is going to be the taunt landing onto Regan. Thane's already taken a lot of damage. Regan is here, is going to be able to secure first blood despite the gank of Pidge, and now here comes Coffee. This could be the twofer, and it's Regan who is himself going very, very low. Pidge does have the passive available. The blood force is there. Rakan is not coming up the river just yet. Smite onto the scuttle, keeping keeping Pidge alive.
Oh, the TP!
Pidge is going to be able to survive courtesy of the teleport coming in, but that's a lot of resources being burnt. Thane having to get that one out just to keep his jungler alive.
And just think how many stacks that Coffee just got towards Red Cane as well.
So many.
From running him down. This is didn't talk about this much yet, but the ability to get Red Cane into the Zac, playing Conqueror into this tanky jungler, it's not as strong as it used to be because Conqueror doesn't give you that true damage anymore, but it still gives you a lot of healing and extended trades. And going Red Cane, where you're getting a lot of healing already, means that you're going to be able to stick to those tanks and use your percentage health to run them down.
First damage onto these turret plates coming through for the Bristol Brawlers. Of course, the turret plates are another thing that have had small changes coming through in the preseason patch. They're going to be that little bit harder to take down now after you take a couple of stacks away.
Yeah, they become a little bit more tanky as time goes on, so we're going to see how that impacts the top, impacts those lanes. I'm actually interested most in how it's going to impact the top lane, but seeing another gank in mid lane onto Thane, maybe even more Red Cane stacks. Let's go.
Thane does still have the flash available, doesn't end up burning it, walking himself to safety, but he's going to be forced into a recall for sure, losing out so much CS despite having an advantage against the Akali. He's a kill down, now been forced out of lane again.
I've got to give a lot of credit to Gelatin Skeleton in the way he's been playing this bot lane. This is Caitlyn favored, but all the same, I expected the support matchup to have a lot more impact on this lane than it has, as iThro's been permanently pushed out of lane, and Gelatin hasn't even based yet. He's just been able to pile on this pressure, get the tower shard for himself, and get a CS lead. I'm excited to see how this goes as the game goes on, because the leads are being developed towards Regan and high BMI, low IQ elsewhere on the map, but this bot lane needs to be where they all convene together. We need to see the TP from Kled, maybe an ult from Kled as he comes back from base. Galio ulting down there as well, and if everybody convenes at the right time, they can get that first tower and snowball the game from there.
Speaking of convening together, that is something that the bot lane are going to do with the jungler for Bristol Brawlers right now. Of course, the first couple of dragons are so much easier to take than they used to be, and this is going to be the Ocean Dragon secured for the Bristol Brawlers, so they get themselves a little stat stick, but that does mean that we're not going to see the Ocean later on. I know it's one of your favourite animations as the Rift changes.
Yeah, you get to see the rain animation, which I quite like, so we're not going to get the Ocean Rift this time around. I'll be interested to see what our first Rift of the 2019 preseason is going to be, because we've narrowed it down already. We'll be interested to see what the second dragon is, because it can't be that one either. But the Ocean as a nice little early stat stick is even better than it used to be, giving you so much regen, but the Ocean Soul is the big problem, the in-combat regen that you get. The ability to just stay so healthy, and I've seen clips of like somebody going into stopwatch and coming out of stopwatch at half HP because it healed them that much. It's ridiculous.
Am I right in saying that you don't get the mana regen anymore out of Ocean?
I don't believe that you get the mana regen out of the Ocean Soul, but you get the mana regen out of the Ocean Dragon.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, meanwhile, it's not very often I shout out the skins in the game, but Nice Penta Idiot has got himself that lovely Emerald Chroma for Clout Cledula, following one of those, maybe, I don't know, might be a YouTuber or something. You pick that one up off. It's always nice to see the Emerald Chromas coming in from the league partners. Meanwhile, speaking of partners, Coffee so far has been a perfect partner for Regan, helping him to continue his dominance here in the mid lane. The CS gap has been almost completely closed, and the damage is good for Akali.
So I actually completely disagree with this purchase from Nice Penta Idiot. Unfortunately for him, he's gone for the Phage because he's trying to rush towards the
Black Cleaver?
Black Cleaver as quickly as possible. There's not enough tankiness on the other side to justify Black Cleaver right now, for one, and you need the Tiamat to get wave control into Fiora. Otherwise, Fiora with Tiamat is going to shove you in endlessly, and there's nothing you can do other than TP and ult elsewhere on the map, because Fiora is going to get full control of your top side and put wards all over that river towards the jungle, and give them the ability to get that Rift Herald if it's not dealt with.
Well, you heard it here, Nice Penta Idiot. That is going to be a small disagreement coming in from our master analysis, Stuart Sin McLeod. He's not happy by this purchase. We'll see if it ends up affecting Nice Penta Idiot to his detriment as the game goes on.
Especially since his most common rush item is Titanic Hydra, because you get that 4 attack, you get the massive attack speed on those 4 attacks from his W. Means that you just proc that so quickly. So going for the Black Cleaver, I don't really like, because there is no tankiness that you're shredding. The Tiamat is so much more synergistic with his W, and enables him to get that initial strength right now that he needs. He had the gold for it, but unfortunately not able to do much with it.
That being said, he has managed to force Fiora down underneath the turret a decent amount of time.
Look at the CS difference.
That may not continue as the game goes on. Fiora is just completely storming ahead in the CS. That's a 25 lead at 8 minutes and 11 seconds. As we see, the recall of this is a short name cancelled out. Meanwhile, high BMI, low IQ is going to get caught out by the bear trap on a rope, but nothing more comes of it.
So the only other reason you can justify the Phage right now is that movement speed that you get from it. So when Fiora tries to stick to you, you can get that movement speed to run away from the Phage passive. It helps you stick to her with it a bit more, but you're not able to utilize the range of it aggressively enough. But I actually really like that. On spawn, we see Pidge go to the top lane and take down the Rift Herald. We didn't get the call out, but we heard the sound. And that means that he's got it early enough that we're going to see a second Rift Herald this game.
This is, of course, one of the changes coming here in pre-season, and there's a lot more damage that is taken by Rift Herald as he completes the charge into the turrets. However, like you said, there is the ability to get it twice now, and with 2 turret plates already being taken down by the Brawlers in the bot lane, there's that chance to get that really early first turret.
Yeah, it spawns earlier. It can have 2 spawns, And it's a lot less likely to get 2 charges off onto 2 different turrets. It's going to get 1 charge, and that's pretty much going to be it. So you use it to get 2 tower shards early and snowball the game a bit, and then the second one is the one you want to be using to break down those towers.
But with the pressure that Gelatin, Skeleton, and AD have been putting down, I wouldn't actually be entirely surprised that if that Herald were put down the bot lane, it might just secure the turret
He's setting
straight
up
off.
for it right now. He's doing that clear towards the bot side. This should be enough for Pitch to go for it, because the bot lane is being not hard shoved, it's being frozen in front of the tower, so it's slowly stacking up. And that's going to give the perfect ability for them to set up and convene with the jungler to get that those tower shards.
And with a 10 CS lead, 2 turret plates already in the bag, Caitlyn's clearly got a gold lead, already picking up that BF sword as we see the taunt landing onto Regan. And actually Regan opting in for the fight, knowing that Coffee was present.
Yeah, there was no reason he'd buy into that fight unless he knew that Coffee was there.
But Thane didn't even take that much damage from that one.
Yeah, it's just Thane didn't even have to go forward to put himself at risk of Coffee, because Regan just went, I'm going to go aggressively because my jungler's here, but he went so aggressive that it was telegraphed.
You wanted earlier on to see a convergence of players while Galio is walking down towards the bot light. Teleport is available for Nice Penta Idiot. The second dragon will be spawning in round about 20 seconds time, and this Herald is available for Zac. So many things that can happen. First Herald is going to be put down just as the dragon is spawning. Meanwhile, Regan takes a lot of damage from Thane. This is going to be the Herald looking for the charge. However, it has slightly been isolated and may well actually lose a lot of its health before it even gets to charge. Second dragon is going to be Infernal, so we're not going to see the burning animation, but we are going to see another stat stick picked up for the Brawlers, who are really doing well in this early game.
So when this dragon is killed, we will see the rift change, and all the fighting is going to be here.
We saw the whirling death coming through from Draven. However, Dragon is secured by the Bristol Brawlers. Pidge managing to sort that one out for his team. So many people here in the bot lane.
It's
and
Mountain. Okay, so this is the terrain drink.
I could be wrong, but I don't think the Herald actually made a charge. I don't believe that happened, because there's still 2 turret plates available there.
There was 3 and a bit. It does enough. Its health had been shunked because the eye was hit, so it doesn't do more than a shard and a bit worth of damage. So it did get the charge off, but it didn't get 2 shards.
Gotcha. Not the max damage it could have put down. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and potentially that will be exactly what we look for with the second Herald if it comes. Let me go take you straight back to what you were talking about with the Mountain.
Yeah, the Mountain...
Just a second, because that is a massive binding landing out. This is a short name, but there's going to be the flash away from Gelatin Skeleton. He's rooted by the Soul Shackles, and it's going to be a kill for Ithro, who cashes in the Stacks of Adoration. He sees
Coffee followed him!
But here's going to be Coffee. This is going to be a nice dash in, nice bit of attacking the teleport that came through. Not quite enough to save the ADC of the Bristol Brawlers. A big cash in for the Kingston Harriers. They're looking good in the bot lane.
I think Coffee actually followed him through with the ultimate across the map. He went inside him as he was ulting away and stuck to him to be able to chase into the bot lane and save the Draven's life from that 2v1.
That is insane. And also insane is the fact that Pidge has just had to use his flash to get away. We're seeing the blobs being popped for the second time. This time I do believe he is going to die. Nice Pentaridiot not in any place to be able to save the Zac. Regan picks up the kill.
And no TP available this time. He is going to go down for his first death of the game. And life is shown by the Kingston Harriers. They may have lost the first 2 dragons, but suddenly they're making these aggressive plays on the map.
Nice Pentaridiot in a lot of trouble. Does have the charge available. 80 waiting in the wings, looking for a knock-up. Not going to get it onto Coffee, who has now had an ignite put down onto his head. Coffee having to dash himself away. Has a little bit of life still. Is able to stay alive despite the ignite. Nice Pentaridiot flashing away. Regan going underneath turret. Is going to eat half of their health. Meanwhile, the Fury is here as well. They're completely stuck between the turrets. 80 dashing forward. The damage coming through from Regan is significant with that Hex Tech. And that's going to be Coffee getting the kill onto Nice Pentaridiot. Here comes Thane. Manages to get the taunt. Manages to get the kill. Coffee is going to die. But while all of this is happening between the turrets, looking at the bot lane, that is the BF sword that has now been picked up for Ithro. In response, Gelatin Skeleton only able to get the Executioner's calling.
And now the Draven seems to be at a power spike. He'd been down in CS earlier on, but now that the engage was found by Morgana, they found their strength. The aggressiveness hadn't been capitalized on enough in terms of getting kills. What I wanted to see was Zac using his passive to dive the tower, Kled using his dismount to dive the tower. They've got a perfect setup to dive the bot lane tower, but they never utilized it effectively before Kingston Harriers could respond. And now Kingston Harriers have built up a gold lead, 2k for themselves in advantage, off of just the indecisiveness of the Bristol Brawlers. And they had a clear game plan, but they've played it too controlling. They've not been aggressive enough. They've not been, as he said, decisive enough. And that's where Kingston have come back.
Just going to say, despite so many objectives being picked up, we see yet another binding landing onto AD, who's in that new alcove, but having to dash to safety. The axe is going to go straight through the back of the Rakan, and that's going to be another kill for Ithro, yet again showing his proficiency on the Draven. Meanwhile, Regan caught out by the taunt, does eat a lot of damage from the Winds of War, but then goes aggressive in return, stripping through the health bar of the Galio, then disappearing into the Shroud, off on her merry way again.
So we saw how that alcove was utilized there. It was Rakan looking for somebody to step up and engage, but now Regan caught out.
Take 2 of the fight, and this time Regan is dead to rights. Not able to get the damage down onto Thane in time, and that's going to be a kill coming through. Zac getting the shutdown gold.
Yeah, pretty standard. Like we're saying, they're getting these bruises stacking on top of each other, able to CC somebody for long enough. But I want to come back to that play in the bot lane, because we saw Addy waiting there to look for somebody to engage on if they walked a bit too close. But after he'd been missing for a while, after they saw him dip in there, this is a short name, acknowledged exactly where he was. He finds that blind binding to pick him off and get that kill for his bot lane.
Second Herald is being picked up right now by Kayn and by Fiora. They have got nice Pentaridit there on the Kled 4 company. However, I'm not entirely sure he's going to be able to do anything to take this one away, especially as Zac is on the bottom half of the map for this second Herald, which is perhaps the more crucial of the two, is going to go over to the Kingston Harriers. Meanwhile, Bristol Brawlers looking for the play, trying to get themselves the first turret, and with the turret plates having fallen off, that is going to be the extra gold going over to the Bristol Brawlers. As I was starting to say just before that last binding landed, the Kingston Harriers, despite their disadvantage in this, well, look at this damage coming through. This is going to be the Let's Bounce used by Pidge. He's going forward. Ithro is still keeping himself healthy, however. AD not able to get any knockups. Gelatin Skeleton now completely caught out because high BMI low OQ has arrived with the teleport. That's going to be the stopwatch used by AD. Able to dash over the wall to safety. Thane is here with the 2-man taunt. High BMI low OQ managed to take down Gelatin Skeleton. Now Thane, without a single summoner available, is trying to get himself to the blast going, but he is betrayed by AD. He's left to die. The double kill for the Fiora. Meanwhile, we are going to see Galio going down to Regan as well. That's the Akali picking up a kill, chasing out for another. AD manages to get safety. Nice Pentaridit is left to push, but all the damage is done for the Kingston Harriers, who get the Herald and they summon it too.
And all of this, all of these kills, all of this play comes off of the back of Ithro landing a brilliant stand aside to stall the engage of both Addy and Pidge, give his team the time to collapse, and they turn that kill around off of a nice play to get that first tower. They lose the Dragon, they lose 4 kills, and they may get 2 for 1 on towers, but that advantage is handily in the favor of the Kingston Harriers.
100% true, and I feel like I've tried to say it about 8 different times, but it still remains true, Sin, despite all the advantages the Brawlers are able to take. Taking 2 Dragons, taking a Herald, taking all those turret plates, they were always behind on gold to the Harriers. I don't believe there has ever been a gold lead for the Brawlers. The Harriers keeping themselves slightly ahead, and when the fights finally went in favor of, let's say, the Draven, they were able to escalate that gold even more, and now with that Mountain Dragon soul in their pocket, they're looking good. No, don't get the soul. They get the
don't get
buff.
the soul. You get
the
the first Mountain Dragon buff,
which is of course very different to what it used to be.
Yes. Previously, it would give you that extra damage to objectives, which was a bit unbalanced, you could say. And it's definitely a good idea that they've removed it. But the Mountain Soul is the big one here, giving you that massive out-of-combat shield that we're going to be looking for once they get these 4 dragons stacked up.
Alright, now the game has broken down a little bit. We can see the near 3,000 gold lead for the Bristol Brawlers. They have got themselves a 3-1-2 Akali, who's just dashed over the wall looking for Thane. The charm is going to land. There's the knock-up. There are the Winds of War. Regan eating half the help, having to step away from Thane, who has done a very, very good job into this matchup. Of course, picking the counter pick, having the opportunity to do that. Regan has struggled at times, but has also picked up some crucial, crucial kills.
Yeah, and Regan has been, again, playing this more aggressive style that we saw from him last week when he played the Ahri, but we've not seen from him much in the past. And this Akali has been working out, even though he's been playing it into the Galio, and even though I think we can definitely say he's been playing a bit too aggressive, he's getting these kills from roaming around the map, and they're working out for them because the Kingston Harriers, they are maybe winning out now, but they need the Akali and the Fiora to be ahead to be able to 1-3-1 later in the game.
Meanwhile, the 2 supports with their upgraded items now looking a little bit happier, able to pop those wards down as they please. Of course, not having to spend any gold on upgrading your support items anymore. Definitely a nice little boost for our supporty friends. Meanwhile, the Kingston Harriers, they're looking to take every advantage they can. And one interesting item I really want to touch on is the fact that we're seeing the double BF sword coming out of Draven. Not even opting in towards, well, maybe didn't have the gold to complete the Bloodthirster at the exact moment, but now has got that double BF, and that's going to put out so very much damage.
Yeah, pretty standard for Draven. Once you do get a lead, you go Bloodthirster into Eye Edge, you get the double. The hardest parts of it to get are those BF swords, so if you've got enough of the kills, instantly get the BF sword, because you stack so well off of AD. He, in the early game, scales the best off of AD of any of the ADCs, because Caitlyn, she scales the best off of attack speed in the early game. For him, it's AD.
When is it that we had the major Rift rework where we got this nice new map with the art style that we currently have? About
the end of Season 4.
Oh, is it that long ago? So we're talking about sort of 5, nearly 6 years. every single time I look across and see the mountain having changed and all of these random rocks, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? High BMI, low IQ has had to flash away from the ganking AD, Pidge and Gelatin Skeleton. He gets himself slightly caught out in the river, is going to lose his summon spell, but not his life. Meanwhile, Kingston Harriers, they're looking pretty confident. Pidge getting very, very aggressive, has got the heroic entrance as well. And with the stretching strikes, we are going to see the Morgana knocked up twice. That's going to be a short name. Dying to Thane. Meanwhile, Coffee trying to get some damage in as well, has opted in to the Red Cane. However, he takes 2 shots to the back of the head from the Caitlyn and has to step straight away. A nice quick kill picked up by the Bristol Brawlers. They had to use so much to get it, however.
Yeah, we know that, as we said, the Bristol Brawlers, they can get to a point in the game where the Caitlyn, once her power trough is done, once she gets to those later game item spikes, where they do win out consistently, but going in aggressive, here is Coffee.
Flash forward from Coffee, but it's straight into the taunt of Thane. Nice able to pick up a kill, but look at the double coming in from Regan. This is the Akali dashing around on the back, completely and utterly fed with that Hextech Gunblade, doing great work. Meanwhile, High BMI, low IQ, issuing the Grand Challenge, once again getting the blob form out of Zac, which is just going to be slowly taken away by iThrow as he throws an axe through every single blob form. The teleport comes in right at the end, and it's going to be Thane able to help Zac live, but that's not going to be Kled being quite so lucky. Did manage to take down the Akali just before dying. However, eventually Nice Penta Idiot was only to die. Meanwhile, Pidge not completing the recall in time, using the elastic slingshot, maybe caught out by the Fuhrer, as we do see Thane going in. He manages to get the charm on to iThrow, the taunt even, managing to get the Winds of War down as well. So much happening in this fight. In the end, it is, I believe, an overall net win for the Kingston Harriers of about 3 kills to 2.
Yeah, a really big fight win for themselves there, turning that around off of a really rough start as Coffee goes in incredibly aggressively, but Regan finds 2 kills with a single ultimate off the back of it. And Kingston Harriers are able to still keep themselves in the lead. But as we were saying, Bristol Brawlers, as the game goes on, when we see these members get tankier, when we see the Galio just be a big disruptor in the front, the Kled able to threaten the back, and the Galio Zac disrupting in the middle, it's going to give so much space for Caitlyn to DPS that their teamfight prowess outscales. So Kingston Harriers has to find a way to split the map up effectively and get enough vision pressure to 1-3-1.
With this second Mountain Dragon just spawning, there is a contest brewing. We see the Caitlyn trap starting to be put down, trying to zone away the Kingston Harriers, however unable to do it as Kingston Harriers just immediately cleaning out this vision. Nice Penta Idiot does have a teleport available. This is going to be Pidge just going straight in. They managed to get a 3-man taunt, damage coming out of the Akali, and that's going to be Akali going gold and trying to stay alive. Zac managed to get shut down onto iThrow. A big bit of damage is gone, but Fuhrer takes down 2. So many high damage targets for the Kingston Harriers means so many dead champions for the Bristol Brawlers, but here comes the Caitlyn. Nice Penta Idiot manages to take down Morgana. Here comes AD with the knockup. That's going to be High BMI, low IQ, completely finding his health shredded, not even able to take down Nice Penta Idiot, and a fight that looked like it had gone for the Kingston Harriers is completely turned around as the Bristol Brawlers get themselves 4 kills, get themselves a Mountain Dragon, and perhaps manage to swing this game in their favour.
And all the carries were at threat the entirety of that fight, and it made it so difficult for them to be able to put down their DPS, for them to be able to use their abilities. And even though Gelatin Skeleton wasn't in the fight, Nice Penta Idiot and Thane are able to clean up. But one of the reasons we saw that fight go so poorly is this Mountain Dragon terrain. That wall there at the front of the Baron Pit caged them all in, trapped them against the wall, and made it so much easier for Zac to find this engage. And this is what Mountain Dragon does. It makes these fights around the objectives that much more centered around AoE damage. If you can trap somebody in, that is it. The entrances are so small that once you're in, it's so hard to get out.
I honestly thought Pidge had gone a little bit too far at first. However, we talked about the potential combos coming through earlier on. The heroic entrance was there from the Galio, and suddenly all hell broke loose. And the Kingston Harriers, despite having all these high damage dealers, found themselves picked off one by one as Coffee finds himself completely caught out here. The stretching strikes pulling him back the wrong side of the wall. This is a short name, is here for support. One crucial thing that happened in that fight, we saw how fast iThrow was obliterated in the last fight. He does need to be there putting down the damage if it's going to be a win for the Kingston Harriers. Yes, we did see Fuhrer pick up a double. Yes, Regan did good damage as well, but iThrow is so often a linchpin of this team.
Now the iThrow has had his first death of the game. He was able to get those key cash-in moments where he did get a big amount of gold, but right now he's having the issue that he didn't snowball enough in the early game. He's not the guy landing a half HP Q on somebody, and that's normally what we're seeing from him. So in this more facilitative role where he just has to be a DPS threat, that tank's cooldowns. We're going to have to see how he combats and how he competes in this role.
Regan goes aggressive, does find multiple members of the Bristol Brawlers surrounding him and has to be defensive all of a sudden. iThrow getting caught out once again by the stretching strikes, but it's Pidge who used his elastic slingshot to get himself out to safety. Meanwhile, Regan taking shots from the Caitlyn. There is obviously a good bit of life still coming in now for Regan on this Akali, courtesy of the Hex Tech. Meanwhile, Zhonya's is there as well, just to keep those fights going that little bit longer. Of course, the Ocean Dragon stat is not there for the Kingston Harriers, so we're not going to see any kind of regen for them. It's the Brawlers who are lucky enough to pick that one up earlier on in the game. We've now got ourselves a 10-stack Rod of Ages on the Galio, who is really amping up. Already got the 3 stacks on the Dark Seal as well. Done really, really good work for his team.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work that has been done, and it's the Galio right now isn't having to buy any tank items, but is still such an effective tank in the front line. The Aftershock makes him that much more tanky. The ability to get that big taunt and get the damage reduction on it makes him that much more tanky, to the point where he's building full AP, hits like a truck, and still has to be shredded down over time.
So then we are on to our first Baron dance for Arena Clash here in the pre-season patch. The Brawlers currently have got themselves a good bit of vision control. However, they are spotted out by that one ward that is in the Baron pit, not being nullified by any kind of control ward around them. So the Harriers are completely aware as to whether this Baron has been started, what kind of trap is waiting for them.
It makes it so much more difficult to contest. So we've seen Kingston Harriers do something that's a bit more uncharacteristic for them and put more wards down, try and control the map a bit more. And that's because they're normally just so aggressive, they're normally so far in the lead that they don't need to. So the fact that the gold's so close means that they have to be very careful of an engage, just instantly bopping.
I do agree with you that they're definitely been doing that. I just love that the moment that you said that they had exactly 1 control ward and 1 vision ward down.
Yeah, but this is more than they usually do. Especially as preventative wards. That's something we almost never see from them.
I had a message from a friend the other day who was asking how on earth it was possible for someone in one of his ranked games after 25 minutes to have a vision score of 0. I said, dude, obviously their 4 buttons just broken. They can't help that. Come on.
Well, that's why you bind it to a mouse. I saw a guy earlier is like, yeah, my C key is broken, so I've mapped it to a button on my mouse.
Maybe just get a new
So
keyboard.
when he types, he's just pressing a mouse button every so often to hit one of the keys.
Oh dear. The Bristol Brawlers right now, they have almost completely got back the gold lead that the Kingston Harriers had developed for themselves. We are 25 minutes in and the Baron has been started out. Still, that ward is there. Still, that ward is not cancelled out. And the Bristol Brawlers are doing this in full vision of the Kingston Harriers. Coffee is working in the wings. We're looking for a potential pickup. There's even a control ward for the Kingston Harriers in the bush just next to the Brawlers. Their vision has been so much better.
This is great. They instantly back off the moment they see the TP. They know they don't need to contest any further. They just need to get that TP out of high BMI, low IQ, because Nice Penta Idiot's TP is going to be up in just a few minutes, which would be enough to... which would be enough to help them... sorry about that. Enough to help them turn these fights. And... oh, a big engage here.
Pidge has gone in. He's got the heroic entrance on top of him, and the knockup is going to be enough for Coffee to get obliterated in this fight. Here come the rest of the damage dealers. That's going to be Soul Shackles landing onto 3 from this. The short name. The Root is going to catch on to Regan, however, and he has to dash out of the fight, leaving Morgana 4 dead. A 2-0 in favour of the Bristol Brawlers.
Yeah, Bristol Brawlers, again, outscaling in these fights. Even though they're behind in gold, it's so difficult to shred through this front line. It's so difficult to play front to back unless you're able to split the map. And since Fiora TP'd in, they're no longer splitting the map. No, not even got both of these outer towers done in the top and bot lane. They needed to have this done 10 minutes ago to really be able to snowball this game ahead. And right now, it looks like Bristol Brawlers are going to take game 1.
My biggest gripe about this preseason is the fact they've not been able to get us a dragon counter just yet in spectate mode. I'm trying to keep track of it, and I'm pretty sure that's now 2 mounted dragons
Soul,
for the Bristol Brawlers. I think they've only got 2 mountains, I think.
They've got 2 mountains, but
And
you
an
need 4
ocean.
dragons total.
So they've got 2 mountains, an ocean, and the Infernal as well. So then they've got the mountains. Oh, there you go, the mountain
Yeah, there's
soul
the
hovering
mountain
around them.
soul. That means they've got 4 dragons in total.
Like I said, just trying to keep count. Maths was. I was going to say maths was not my strong point, but it really, really was.
So they've got 1 ocean, 1 infernal, and 2 mountain. And so this mountain soul gives them an out of combat shield, which should be enough to basically imagine it if you play TFT. There's a lot of the Iron Solari in that game, where you just get that shield at the start of the fight that's going to help you become a little bit more tanky without having to invest in tank stats.
Meanwhile, we do see the blue buff there resetting, just wasting a little bit of Regan's time. Again, we're seeing the vision around the Baron be such a crucial factor. The Kingston Harriers have done a very, very good job of keeping themselves aware of what's happening in that Baron pit so far. The Bristol Brawlers, however, they're still down in gold by 1,000, despite having controlled the tempo for large parts of this mid-game.
Yeah, so that Mountain Dragon stacking up does give them that extra armor and MR as well. So much extra tankiness from that on top of the extra shield. Yeah, you get the 8 to 32 from between the 1 to 4 dragons on that one. So they've got 16% extra armor and MR right now. On top of this extra shield, it does make them really hard to kill, and even the Caitlyn's going to be a bit harder to kill. And when you've got this big bruisery frontline, it's synergizing really well with them, because that percentage armor, especially if you look at a Zac who's now building a Thornmail, is going to do so much.
Here we go again. The Bristol Brawlers for the third time this game starting up the Baron. This time they did sweep out the crucial ward. Coffee is still lurking in the winds. There is still no control ward to block out any wards that do get put down by the Kingston Harriers. They've got themselves a control ward in there. Baron is down to half health. Coffee, however, is still lurking. Here comes Kled with the teleport. This is the fight that the Bristol Brawlers want to take. Coffee is looking to potentially get himself into the pit. He dashes just to the outside of it. I throw waiting in the wings as well, and it feels like the teleport's been burned out of Nice Penderidian, and he hadn't done anything, but now he has the charge. The riposte being used by Fiora. Regan dashing in, but immediately getting caught out. That's I throw Axis throwing the whirling death in, but it's Regan who's completely caught out, and Caitlyn getting the shutdown. High BMI, low IQ, trying to dash down onto Gelatin Skeleton, but not able to take down the Caitlyn in time. That's going to be Thane getting a second kill, and now the chase is on. Coffee and I throw, they are running for the hills, and there are a lot of hills to run through with this Mountain Dragon around. The Baron will be started up one more time by the Bristol Brawlers. Coffee is still waiting on the wing. However, this time there is no vision there for the Kingston Harriers. What can they do? It doesn't feel like an awful lot as Nice Penderidian walks straight into Coffee. The ace in the hole is thrown down just to get a bit more damage, but courtesy of the Umbral Trespass, we do see Coffee able to get away. Nice use the black shield, stopping Aiden getting the knockup. That is going to mean that there's 5,000 health left on the Baron. Coffee cannot get anywhere near it. The Bristol Brawlers secure themselves a crucial buff.
And again, this aggression from the Bristol Brawlers hasn't, in the early game, hasn't punished them, because they were able to stall out the game enough in this mid-game. They were playing so effectively once they got to that point of the game that they were just denying the aggression of Kingston Harriers over and over again. And when it got to these fights, they were just slowly turning it on its head.
It is a really, really close game. And do you know what my single biggest disappointment of this game is, Sin?
What?
The lack of split pushing pressure that's been put out by the Fiora. We've not even seen the Sanguine Blade being picked up, which sort of says, this is what I'm going to do. She's opted into more and more team fights. She's died in more and more team fights. And despite being 5-2 and 3, right now is not having anywhere near the impact of what I believe a split push would have done.
Fiora beats Kled consistently in the side lane. So not opting into that has definitely punished them a lot, because they haven't had this control in the side lane. They haven't been able to get wards in the enemy jungle to be able to facilitate that. And what it has now meant is that she's had to back away from the side lane, because she's not pushed it up far enough to come to these team fights. Since control has been given fully to the Bristol Brawlers in mid lane, she's instantly collapsing. Like, what if Zac engages and I'm not there? The team's just going to lose 5v4. What if Kled engages elsewhere? Instead of having the strength to be able to go, I'm just going to side lane because my team will be able to disengage. There is no disengage.
It's interesting, because it was my concern going all the way back to Champ Select that I thought that this potentially could happen, as we do see Regan getting caught out in his own jungle. 80 is there, Thane is there with the taunt, Gelatin Skeleton there with the 4th kill of the game, now putting damage down right through High BMI low Q, who yet again is not in the side lane, but he's not even relevant in the team fight either. Gelatin Skeleton's got a double kill, looking for a potential triple flash away from this as a short name, but the turret will be secured by the Bristol Brawlers, and here comes the Kled! That's going to be a kill for Gelatin Skeleton. That's an unofficial triple kill, and that's going to be yet another turret falling. This is a Baron empowered team crushing down towards the inhibitor turrets of the Kingston Harriers base.
We criticised them a little bit earlier on, but the Bristol Brawlers show that the game plan works. They've cleaned it up, they've gotten the Baron, and even though they were behind in gold for so long in this game, Gelatin Skeleton and co look like they're going to clean it.
They are so close to picking up game 1 of this best-of-3 series. They are so close to putting themselves in a dominant position to try and get to the semi-finals of the long arena clash. Winter split, High BMI low Q using the riposte, managing to dash himself back onto the fountain, keeping alive for now. Coffee and the rest of the team are alive, but Coffee is almost dead again. Regan pulled immediately in, obliterated by Thane and the rest of his team. 80 with yet another knock-up straight onto I throw. Pidge's going to jump in, but he finds the Umbral Trespass straight straight on top of him. Blob form is here for the Zac, but the Nexus is so very low itself. It's already on 50% health. Ifro trying to get as much damage down as he can, but it's too little. It's too late. The Bristol Brawlers go 1-0 in the quarterfinals.
And the Bristol Brawlers came in with a game plan here. And it wasn't to play through bot lane like we thought. It wasn't to send everybody down there. It was to make bot lane irrelevant. And they did just that. The Draven didn't die for the first 20 minutes of the game. But once it got to those team fights, and he hadn't already built up a massive lead for himself, this bruisery front line from the Bristol Brawlers showed up. And they were able to clean up these fights back to back. And there was just no way for Regan to be able to get on top of that backline for long enough when you saw the Zac collapsing, when you saw the instant Galio ultimate on top of the Caitlyn, and it, especially with these Mountain Dragons giving that extra armor and MR, it was too much to bear for the side of the Kingston Harriers for their aggressive playstyle to work. And even though we saw a lot less aggression than usual, I'm still a little bit disappointed. We saw that one fight in the mid game where they did turn it around and they managed to pick up 4 kills on that bot side, but that was in a trade where they went 2 towers to 1 as well. Because the Kled bought out of the fight completely and said, I'm just going to split push top lane.
Credit to the Bristol Brawlers picking up that win. They are, of course, trying to push for a final in their hometown. Would be a fantastic feeling
Definitely
for them.
so.
And
really hurt the smugglers.
Yeah, don't do that to me. I will be wearing my Snugglers. I'll be wearing my Snugglers t-shirt regardless.
Snugglers sounds like a Futurama brand.
And so, yeah, well, you know, that certainly would hurt the Smugglers. It would hurt me as well, but it would be great for them to be able to get there. And one of the things that impressed me the most in that game is I questioned it, first of all, in Champ Select. I said, why on earth would you leave Draven open? We've seen so many times what iThrow can do on this signature champion. You yourself said it. I said, what's going to happen in this game? You said, Draven's going to dominate in that 2v2 bot lane. Well, the Bristol Brawlers proved us both wrong.
We said it was the 2 of the best performing AD carries we've seen in Belong so far, and it came down to how did the AD carries interact in the bot lane was going to dictate a lot of how this game went. And the Draven, he got a lead when they got that first kill, but he was pinned down through the first few levels where he normally likes to have most of his aggression. He was pinned down in the mid game, and it meant that the Draven never really came online. So the game plan from the start was to do that. The Caitlyn was designed to do that, and Caitlyn generally does win that matchup, but the Morgana I was expecting to do so much more than it did, as she got zoned off just as hard as the Draven did. One
of the other things that I think we both expected to see play out slightly differently was high BMI, low IQ. Up until fairly late in the game, had a pretty decent KDA, but in reality wasn't able to achieve that split pushing pressure that we expect of a Fiora, and it came down, as you said, to being scared of what the other team's engages were. We had all of those potential dive-ins, we had the elastic slingshot, we had the heroic entrance, we had the quickness all being used. Fiora decided, this is too much, I can't get there in time to save the team, they're just going to get obliterated. Never ended up split pushing, never really gained a turret advantage at all. For me, didn't do what that champion should have done, and maybe should have been a different pick.
And you know, Stan, I think this is actually a champion pool issue, because we know that high BMI low IQ is known for his Camille.
Yep.
And he played the Fiora as if he was playing Camille. He transitioned into team fights. He won the top lane matchup, but then tried to move elsewhere as quickly as possible, instead of consistently winning out that top side, using it to snowball into a Rift Herald to then push top side. He played for his team, but when you're playing Fiora, you need to play for yourself. He went for the Black Cleaver, not the Sanguine Blade. That's a perfect example of what we're talking about here in terms of not playing for the 1v1, he's playing for the 5v5.
And also it's a sign of champion pool as well, because that was the last pick of the game, so you could have picked anything into the Kled at that point.
It's a counter matchup. He picked the champion that's meant to beat Kled consistently, and he didn't beat Kled hard enough.
And didn't play the champion as it should be played, arguably.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to play like that, then take a team fighting champion or something that's going to be able to impact if you're already worried about what that engage can do.
At that point, I'd just rather have seen a Malphite, because Malphite is a counter to Kled as well.
Exactly.
You have like Grasp of the Undying plus the... you just slam the E down, it ruins Kled's W, you ruin his day entirely, and you transition into team fights optimally. When you're trying to remove this Caitlyn as quickly as possible, having more engage, that suits it. But the Camille is the engage that they were lacking maybe in this game you can look at. So you look at the jungle, I'd like to have seen a Jarvan perhaps, because he played the Draven as if he was playing into Sejuani, for example, like he did last time around, but this isn't a Sejuani. This isn't just somebody who has a ton of armor you can shred. This isn't the true damage conqueror anymore. So he needs to move away from that and think what his team needs rather than how is he going to win the 1v1 the hardest, because that jungle 1v1 didn't matter.
At the end of the day, it may sound like we're being quite harsh to the way that played out, especially from the Harriers, but the reality is that actually I really want to see them come and improve in the second game. I want to see the draft improve. I want to see the way they play things out improve. I really want to see this series go to 3 because it has all the makings of a great game. And the fact that the Harriers had early game advantages, they had a gold lead until pretty much the 30th minute because of the CS leads, especially built up by that Fiora. I still think they are very, very relevant in the series. I think there's a very high chance they take game 2, and if they do, my word, what a game we have got on our hands.
So I actually look at how these two teams match up, and besides Gelatin Skeleton, the Bristol Brawlers are worse in every single role. Like, the top's worse, the jungle's worse, mechanically at the very least, is worse in every single role. And they find a way to win out through team play, because that's what League is about, team play. This team built a draft where they knew how to facilitate each other well enough to win out, whereas Kingston Harriers, even though they all were stronger individually other than the bot laners, who are arguably pretty even, to maybe slightly favoured towards Gelatin. We'll have to see how Game 2 goes, but they all were playing for themselves on the sides of the Kingston Harriers. We saw the Akali mid lane
Constantly in and out.
Constantly going aggressively, even too aggressive. We saw the Fiora not utilize the split push well enough, and the Kayn just wasn't a valuable pick.
And can there be a better example of how well the Brawlers had their teamwork than Pidge and Thane in the mid lane, who were constantly had each other's back, had the engages correct together, and were able to pick up the win at the end of the day. We are into Game 2 pick and ban. The Galio has been taken away from Thane. The Camille immediately removed from high BMI, low IQ. Both of these bans to me make a lot of sense. We already saw what happened when the champ pool was pinched for high BMI, low IQ. We already saw, just as we were literally just saying about what happened with Pidge and Thane when they had Galio and Zac, well, they're not there anymore, and neither is Syndra for Regan.
Now we just need to see Gragas and Sion instead. And that's the way. Honestly, there's so many bruisers in the game that are viable that you can literally just go to the next tier of them. Gragas is just as good a bruiser as Zac in the jungle. Not so good as not as good as Zac on the engage as Gragas, but still very solid and even better at playing the more aggressive side of it.
I love this from the Kingston Harriers. This is the classic best of series, middle finger to the other team going, you just beat us on these champions, well, you're not getting 3 of them this time round. Immediately just taking away quite a lot of champions, also banning away that Rakan, but still happy to pick the Zyra up.
Okay, so Xayah is generally considered to be countered by Draven. So interesting that they leave the Nautilus up by choice and go for the...
This is going to be a Draven.
Yeah, Ithrax is on the other side.
Yeah.
So Xayah's completely choosing the opposite part of the matchup, but Xayah is considered a champion that's fairly good into Ashe and fairly good into Caitlyn. Varus, Xayah, and Ashe are the 3 best champions into Caitlyn. So choosing to really buy out of that, I'm going to hardcore win the 1v1 instead, choosing to opt into a more teamfight-centric champion that will play more towards the later stages of the game. Nautilus, however, is just saying, nope, we're going to kill you now.
Nautilus is going to be the lock-in. That was banned away last time. This is one of the problems that happens when you do ban away 3 new champions, is you can't take away those ones that you removed from the pocket picks previously. Now we do see Nuno and Willump locked in, a completely different champion, a completely different style for Coffee123 in comparison to that Kayn in the last game.
And this is a champion we've seen from him before, and he was just ganking lane to lane to lane, heavily impacting the early game, and we didn't see him have an early game impact last game on that Kayn, so I'd like to see this one show up, and I'd like to see Coffee123 actually able to impact the Drakes, because we saw them lose all 4 of the first 4 Drakes last time around.
Fiora is not going to be picked up this time around by the Kingston Harriers. Instead, it is going to be the Urgot locked in, almost definitely for high BMI, low IQ. In response, we've got ourselves a pony on the Rift. It's Hecarim.
But what I'm liking here from the Kingston Harriers is adaptation, much more bruisery comp. If you're going to play front to back, Urgot and Xayah are definitely great ways to do that. The Urgot shreds people with his percentage health damage, and the Xayah feathers are going to do a lot of work, but the Hecarim is saying the opposite. They want to dive the backline. The Nautilus is going to enable them to do that even further, so they don't want to play front to back. They don't want to buy in to what the Kingston Harriers are doing, and we're seeing a clash of styles again. Last time it came a lot more down to execution.
So far, the Bristol Brawlers are not showing any respect towards the Akali that was played against them last time, still banning away
all 5 champions.
Well, they can't, because the Caitlyn's been picked up. But I was just about to say, the Kled has been taken away by the Kingston Harriers. That does mean that aside from that Caitlyn that we see locked in for Gelatin Skeleton, we are seeing 4 brand new champions coming into the Rift for the Bristol Brawlers.
And so the Bristol Brawlers utilize that Caitlyn well, you have to say. They're able to pressure out during the early game. And you see that, yes, both of those mid laners, all 3 mid laners banned away from Regan. You see who they're respecting here. They're not respecting Ithrax. They're going, we've got an AD carry that can beat you. But they're saying, Regan, that's the guy we're afraid of. And I definitely give a lot of credit to Bristol Brawlers for watching the VODs, going back and going, no, we can deal with that bot laner, but that mid laner. And understanding, like we did, that Regan is a very strong contender on this team.
And is not going to be able to pick up the Akali from the last game. Personally, I'm kind of glad about that. I want to see something slightly more control mage focused coming out of Regan. We'll see exactly what he picks in just a moment. We need to see ourselves a top laner and a mid laner coming out for the Bristol Brawlers. They're going to have to lock in one of them. The Ken and Hover, of course, could go into either lane. Is most usually seen up in the top lane for Nice Penta Idiot. There is now a real high chance for counter pick potential for the Kingston Harriers.
It's likely that Regan just goes for something like an Orianna.
Sorry, the CR got there already. My mistake.
It's likely he just goes for an Orianna here, just try to get a standard control mage that you can blind pick fairly easily, and it is taking one of Thane's most comfortable champions away from him as well. So I don't see any reason not to just pick a blind pickable control mage, and they are going to go for the Karma, which is flexible, but it's more likely since the AP ratio nerfs just to be support to help them shove out this bot lane.
Yep, and of course I was made to look a little silly there because the Urgot was picked up in first rotation by the Kingston Harriers. That's going to be going up against Ken, which meant that not only was Nice Penta able to pick himself up a counter pick, but also now we're going to see a potential counter pick coming in for the Bristol Brawlers as AD is going to lock something in for Thane to counter an Echo.
Okay, so the Echo mid lane here is a pick that wants to 1-3-1 yet again, or 4-1. He does transition decently into team fights because of the AoE stun and his ability to just ult to safety, waste a lot of cooldowns from the enemy team. But if he goes aggressive and gets hit by a Lissandra ult, he is donezo. So that's why you generally see most people in this kind of matchup take Cleanse. But as an Echo who wants to go as full Assassin build, you can't really afford to take the Cleanse. You have to go for the Ignite. So I think he's going to be very exposed in this mid lane. And I think that Bristol Brawlers, they have a very good comp, yet again. 2 games in a row, they've drafted very solidly to get an AoE team fighting composition that understands the exact proportions you need of engage and disengage.
It feels to me that even though some of the engage potential is gone, courtesy of No Elastic Slingshot and Heroic Entrance and all the ones we talked about so many times last time, they've still got plenty of options. They've still got a depth charge that's going to go in. You've still got the Frozen Tracks to be taken by Lissandra, who can then Frozen Tomb herself or an enemy. You've still got the Onslaught of Shadows. There's still massive team fight bursts coming in from a Slicing Maelstrom. I love the way Brawlers have drafted. My question is, have the Kingston Harriers adapted and well enough? You seem to like the early part of the draft. How are you feeling now you see all 5?
The Karma and the Echo kind of lost me here.
Okay.
Because the Xayah, Nunu, and Urgot, that's great for playing front to back. I'm looking at, even if you just literally switch the mid laners and supports, so you've got Lissandra and Nautilus on the Kingston Harriers, that's an excellent draft. Instead, we're seeing so much more, even if it's just press R to win, so much CC, so much more control given to the Bristol Brawlers where they get to dictate the tempo of these fights, that Kingston Harriers once again have all the pressure on them to blow open the early game, or this one's going to fall apart. So Lissandra, she can just go Aftershock and press W and then live out the laning phase because Echo can't kill her through that. Even if Nunu turns up, they'll struggle to kill her through that. So they're going to get to this mid game likely, and once they get there, because they've got a winning top lane, they've got a mid lane that's going to be safe the entire game, and a bot lane that arguably wins as well, Hecarim's set up to be able to roam freely around the map.
Looking good for the Bristol Brawlers then, if Sin is to be believed, and so very often he is. I'm very concerned for the Kingston Harriers that if they do manage to get, let's say, one particular person super fed, there are so many options to take down one target. They're going to need damage coming out of multiple targets coming into the late game. They're going to need the Urgot online. They're going to need the Echo assassinating people. Xayah is going to have to become the late game menace that she can be. Otherwise, the Bristol Brawlers should be able to dismantle the Harriers and take this series 2-0. But that is not what I want to happen. I want to see the bounce back from the Harriers. I want to see them have an incredible game. I want this to go 2-3.
Well, remember last time we saw last season rather. In the quarterfinals, I believe we saw 3 upsets, and 4 series, rather.
Yeah, we had 3 second seeds go through.
3 second seeds go through. This is a second seed in the Bristol Brawlers looking to upset the Kingston Harriers again, and it could happen here as we see the second game coming through. Bristol Brawlers have a composition that enables them to play ease of execution. The Kingston Harriers have to revert to type and play hyper-aggressive in the early game to be able to snowball through it. Otherwise, they're relying a lot on the Hecarim to misplay this. One
little interesting thing to note there is a small change made to the summoner spells. Echo opting into the teleport rather than the ignite. Still not running the cleanse. Also doesn't have the assassination potential. Will have that global presence slightly more so though.
Definitely agree with this, especially because you can, again, Bristol Brawlers have a brilliant comp for diving bot lane. All 5 of these members are excellent at diving bot lane. Nautilus, Lissandra, Hecarim, and Kennen all going under the bot lane tower. You are dead. You are donezo. That is impossible to survive even as a Xayah, because you're just going to run out. And then there's 3 more layers of CC you've got to fight through before you can get out of there. So they have to go for that TP to be able to respond, to be able to get down to the bottom side of the map, to at least be able to try and deny some of that aggression, because otherwise they're going to get steamrolled if these lanes win out. Because we saw last game, the mid lane wasn't winning, the top lane wasn't winning, and it enabled the bot lane to survive a bit longer. If the mid and top are winning this time and they get those TP advantages for themselves and utilize them effectively, there's no reason why the Bristol Brawlers can't blow open that bot lane tower at 13 minutes and be able to snowball the rest of the map.
So a question that I've been wanting to ask ever since I heard about some of the changes that were coming in for pre-season is, looking at the compositions as we see them, what would be a dream setup, not only for the soul that could potentially be garnered for one of the two teams, but also the way the rift could be shaped for the two teams? Is there a specific thing that you think one comp would like rather than the other?
So both Ocean and Infernal are very good if you're playing aggressively like the Bristol Brawlers are with engages. Because Ocean, there's so many more, if you've already got an advantage, there's so many more brushes that people need to face check. There's so many more opportunities to catch somebody out where they don't have vision, when there's that many areas that are denied vision by the brushes. And Infernal Dragon, just because it's so open plan that you can collapse incredibly quickly, because the the Infernal Dragon opens those maps. They make it very open plan. I'm thinking of like Rainbow Six, where you just blow open all the walls around a point so you can control it better. It's better for defending if you're playing a hard disengage comp, but if you're playing a full engage comp to run somebody down, it's so much easier to get vision. It's so much easier to understand exactly what's going on in the enemy jungle and then collapse very quickly.
So that's what the Brawlers perhaps would like. The Harriers maybe conversely don't want those things because it could be good for the Brawlers.
Yeah.
Are they maybe looking towards something more like the Cloud?
The Cloud Dragon would definitely help them because you get that CDR. Oh god, the Cloud Dragon Soul would still be so good for the Bristol.
We haven't really talked about this
as well.
yet. Cloud Dragon is arguably the most broken soul right now.
Cloud Dragon
the
giving
cooldown
you
reduction
CDR
on
Ultimate, exactly. So if you're running Ultimate Hunter and 45% CDR with the 5% from runes, 40% from items, and you get 4 Cloud Dragons, your ultimate
85% cooldown.
85% cooldown.
So even on something like, let's say, a Stand United, which is usually around about a 2 and a bit minute cooldown, could be up every 30 seconds or less.
Yes. It's insane.
That's not a world I want to live in.
Well, I think it might be even more than that, because they stack additively, and Ultimate Hunter's 25%.
Okay.
4 Cloud Dragons is 40%.
Yep.
And then 45% from CDR. The 45%.
That's 110%.
No, 65% of the 45% remaining.
Okay.
So 65% of the remaining 55% is taken away.
Even so, that's still going to be an insane cooldown as yet again.
Yes.
We see the red side team stacking up. This time it's the Bristol Brawlers, of course. We have had a little swap across the rift. There is a ward down, which is once again going to get spotted out. Bristol Brawlers able to pick themselves up a little bit of extra gold and experience here in the early stages. And we're getting our first chance to have a little look at one of the different support items.
And Lissandra hits level 2 minion early because she kills the ward. And that is actually big, because it's going to give her full control of the mid lane, because she gets the ability to proc Aftershock that much more easily, and has the wave control because of the Q. I'm looking forward to seeing how she utilizes this, because this is important to this laning phase, and how much Lissandra is going to be able to get control. But the support items, like you say, that is the Relic Shield coming out for Nautilus, which is the AP variant. The Steel Shoulder Guard, the other one. Is, well, as you can imagine, it's silver. This one is gold, therefore it's the AP one. Then this Spell Thief's Edge for the Karma, as to be expected. One thing I find really interesting is Leona goes the AD one. Because Leona, who has all abilities that scale off of AP, wants to stick to people and land all her auto attacks, so she goes for the AD one. It's like back when, if you remember, Ignar famously went Fervor of Battle on Leona to buff the damage on the auto attacks.
I do remember that.
In the early game, she is very auto attack focused, so when you're going for these engages, it works so much better to do that. But I mean, you still go Aftershock, because Aftershock's insane.
What was it that happened? Where is Ignar now?
He just went to FlyQuest. He just got signed for to FlyQuest from Schalke 04.
Okay, so go back onto our roster swaps that we were talking about earlier on. I didn't get the opportunity to play my Uno reverse card on you. what is, just 1 second, because this dredge line is going to connect. AD getting a little bit of a shield. This is a short name, losing a little bit of health there. Early game looking good for the Bristol Brawlers once again here in the
strong
bot
bot lane. But yeah,
What's your most exciting roster change so far looking at the pro scene?
okay, there's a few, but like I'm just gonna give an honourable mention first. It's not my favourites per se, but
Dredge line connects once again.
Again,
Ignite is
really
put down.
strong.
Heal already burned. This is a short name, not even able to flash away. Meanwhile, here comes the Nunu. The bait has been completed.
Oh,
This is
nice
gonna be the turnaround.
flash.
Coffee 1, 2, 3, forcing the flash out. Gelatin Skeleton straight over the wall. AD is going very low. Gets the shield just at the right moment. Manages to get the root onto iThrow. Teleport comes in from Thane. Maybe a little too late, forcing the flash out of iThrow. Trying to get himself to the wall. Trying to get safety. Coffee managing to land the knock-up on Gelatin Skeleton. That is going to be a big old kill for Regan, who came in with a teleport. Meanwhile, iThrow trying to run, trying to hide, but not going to be able to get away. Eventually, Thane getting the throws and Thrall of Desire, the kill for himself. It's a 2 for 2 overall. The gold lead is insignificant, but crucially a kill picked up for Zaya and not for Caitlyn.
yeah, but the first blood going over to the Nautilus definitely doesn't help. But the wave is actually collapsing into the Bristol Brawlers, so they're being denied more experience here than the Kingston Harriers are. And after having such a strong first couple minutes, it was 11 CS to 3. Kingston Harriers have it turned the other way on them very quickly. As Page may be caught out here, but he has a level up.
This is going to be Pidge going into the opposition jungle.
Cannons
Of course,
has roaming
remember, that is going to be the
advantage.
ghost already burned from Pidge. Has managed to
Lissandra's here
zone Coffee
first.
away. Nice Penta Idiot's coming across, and this is going to be once again the trail used by Thane, managing to help. Nice Penta Idiot picking up the kill. No assist actually went over to Thane. We do see the frozen thralls, however, and that's going to be Regan having a lot of damage put down. High BMI, low IQ with the Purge, able to pick up the kill. That's a double overall for the Kingston Harriers. Definitely winning out in this trade, and they might even get more. Regan looking to try and get onto Nice Penta Idiot, who's stepping aside, managing to land the stun eventually. The fight does break down, but the Kingston Harriers once again coming out on top.
Kingston Harriers may be roaming second, but they're finishing first in these plays yet again, as all the cooldowns are being blown by the Bristol Brawlers very quickly, and they're able to capitalize on the backside as the split up yet again. Members go low. We saw Pidge backed off after the going very low, and then ended up just running directly into an Urgot instead of being able to escape through his own jungle, tries to hover around and gets caught out for him.
Meanwhile, we're going to see Dredgeline connecting onto the ganking Coffee. 1, 2, 3. The 3-man in the bot lane again with the speed
nice
up
speed.
from the Mantra. AD is going to get rooted down, but here comes Pidge. He managed to get the knock
into
back
the trap.
onto Coffee. 1, 2, 3. Gelatin Skeleton picking up his first kill of this game. Gelatin Skeleton now trying to get the damage down onto This Is a Short Name. Yet again, the Dredgeline is going to connect. Flash away from This Is a Short Name, and another teleport. So many teleports in this game. So many kills at 5 minutes. It is 4 apiece for the Kingston Harriers and the Bristol Brawlers. This time the teleport not coming to anything. High BMI, low IQ, very much so burning this one and regretting instantly.
A really nice play there as Pidge turns up and shoves Coffee 1, 2, 3 directly into the waiting Caitlyn trap to give him the bonus damage and root him for that little bit longer. They're going to get the dragon off the back of this, and Bristol Brawlers, they look a lot more comfortable after losing out on a couple plays in a row. Suddenly they're given back control.
Very, very nice. Well, they don't actually take that first Infernal Dragon away, however.
So the roster move that I think is...
so much has happened since we
Yeah.
last talked about this. Tell me your favourite roster move so far, Sid.
It's not my favourite, but the honourable mention is Forgiven going to Schalke 04. I'm
Of
very
course, yeah.
excited about that.
Seeing him back in the series is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he still can perform. They've obviously given a lot of faith in him. Replacing Upset with him is definitely a big ask.
High BMI, low IQ, managing to land the flip onto Nice Penta Idiot, who does not have a flash available and is completely obliterated. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the Kingston Harriers also managed to get themselves that first dragon. It was Infernal. Second will be Cloud, which means, you remember how you said Mountain or Ocean would be great for the Brawlers? It's definitely going to be one of them, but the knock-up landing onto Thane, he's not able to dash himself away, does not have flash available, and he does manage to dash himself away, gets away at just the last second. Thane playing that one beautifully, hovering the level 7 mastery as well.
But now this Urgot is 3-0. Their ability to play front to back is
Diminishing.
I mean, the ability of the Kingston Harriers
their
to play
ability,
front
sorry,
to back is increasing ever more as he's getting that much more shred. He's going to have the Black Cleaver completed incredibly quickly, and then any frontliner, even if they've got the Aftershock, which the Lissandra has not, I want to clarify.
Not so good these days on the AP champions.
Still, even though the nerfs have come through, it just wins you the lane because it
Okay.
means Echo can't kill you. Because Lissandra wants to go for like the Zhonya's especially, which gives you a bunch of armor. It still scales with that. It still gives you a lot of effectiveness in that mid game. But the Electrocute buying much more into having the damage to burst somebody, which isn't really Lissandra's prerogative. She just wants to be there and enable the thralls to win out the fight as she CCs somebody for long enough and blows enough of people's cooldowns.
I mean, Thane had a fantastic game last time around, maybe just playing into the fact he felt he was one of the key carries, enabling Gelatin Skeleton to get towards the late game, wants to be able to do the same now. Gonna have to make that one play out well for him, though.
Yeah, so...
Looks like a build towards Proto Belt first.
Could be the Gunblade, which we've seen from some people as well, but normally if you're building a Gunblade, build the AD first to give you the control, so it is most likely to be Proto Belt, as you say. However...
Wow, there's one major item change which I would want to talk about just a moment as we see Regan dashing in. We saw a lot of this from last time, going quite aggressive.
What is this item change you want to talk to
Well,
me
it's
about?
not an item change so much as an item difference between two champions, and that is Xayah, who has got the Cull along with a couple of long swords in comparison to the BF sword already secured for the Caitlyn. Thane finding herself in a lot of trouble, but here comes Pidge. Regan able to use the ultimate, getting to safety. Pidge, of course, does not have a flash of his own, opting instead to the Ghost in this game. Here comes the counter gank Coffee, looking for a knock-up onto Lissandra, however, nowhere near enough damage to pick up a kill in this instance. No one dies this time.
And barely gets out alive does Regan off the back of that. His ult timing barely in time to stop him being killed out, as Thane and Pidge, they managed to layer the CC very effectively, but not quite enough, as he barely lives. And Echo, 30 CS up, he's winning out, and he's gotten to the point where that Lissandra early game, like we said, she got the ward advantage level 1, which gave her the ability to hit level 2 first. No longer matters. He's got a level advantage for himself.
AD steps forward, throws the dredge line down onto the Xayah, who does not have Featherstorm available. I throw using the heal, the Ignite still burning down. The shield comes in from this as a short name, and Gelatin Skeleton takes a turret shot while not getting a kill for himself. Meanwhile, Nice Penta trying to do everything he can up against this 3-0 Urgot, who has got a 300 gold bounty on his head.
But they just need the Caitlyn to be able to cast an ultimate, and that's pretty much it. They need this as a short name to block. So they're going to get control of this bot side yet again in a moment. Oh god, he's looking for it. This is what the alcove's good for. As he stands on the pink ward, maybe that was the moment.
Oh, they are playing this one cool. Now there's going to be the dredge line connecting, and again, this is a short name completely obliterated.
That's what you use the alcoves for.
Level 5 Karma getting caught out by 80 once again. Gelatin Skeleton getting his second kill of the game.
And it completely nullifies the range versus melee matchup in supports. It gives you the ability to collapse on these range supports so much more easily, as these tankier big boys, like the Nautilus, has just got his first upgrade on his support item as well. So he's going to get to that. He's got the more health stacking version of it, so it gives him a small amount of AP and a large amount of health as the game goes on.
I've got to ask you one question.
Yeah?
How on earth do you end up with a 23 CS advantage for the Hecarim over the Nunu at this stage of the game?
Nunu's been ganking and Hecarim's been farming because...
I mean, that's harsh on Hecarim.
Yeah, the Hecarim's just been able to...
I mean, he's proving you wrong right now. Regan with the ultimate, trying to get away, trying to get the kill on the Thane before himself going down. Coffee is here for the counter gang, proving you right in a small way. Parallel Convergence is going to get a shield for Regan yet again. Nobody dies in the mid lane.
But Hecarim doesn't need to be the entire ganking prowess on his own. He has a CC of Thane in the mid lane to enable him to just get a drive-by gank and run away. He has the Nautilus. That is his prerogative. Drive-by gank. Whereas the Nunu needs to fully set it up on his own and fully acknowledge where all the vision pressure is for the enemy.
Arcade Hecarim, the unicorn pony, hovering around this cloud dragon spawn, coming in just a few seconds time.
It's a unicorn or a pony.
Second of the game, and it will reveal to us whether or not we are getting mountain or ocean as the potential soul, the potential change to the rift.
We'll find out which one pretty soon, but oh, Thane.
Regan does not have ultimate available, but neither does Thane. He's been taken very, very low. He's got to be very, very careful. Regan managing to get the stun onto Pidge, is able to get himself to safety. Regan really, really playing around this Echo very, very well. Dashing forward, getting the execute damage down onto Thane. Here comes a potential knock-up onto Pidge. Is going to land, but Regan's already dashed himself away. Beyond death from off-screen. High BMI, low IQ goes 4-0. That sounds nice to me. And guess what? There's a dragon available too, so we might as well have that.
And the Kingston Harriers are well and truly... back in this series as they're looking a lot stronger, both Regan in the mid lane and high BMI and low IQ in the top lane stepping up, acknowledging that their bot lane isn't just going to solo carry them like they have done in the previous series. They have to step up on their own. They're doing just that.
This is exactly what I wanted to see coming out of this series. The Mountain Dragon will be the third. The Mountains rise for the second game in a row. We are going to see that change to the Rift.
Yeah, this extra terrain is really going to enable the trapping in of those objectives, like we said last time. Bristol Brawlers can find those ways into like the Dragon Pit or the Baron Pit with a Lissandra cannon, and they can shred everyone to pieces. So that if they're given access to those sort of flanking positions to get in on an objective fight, this can still turn, because Bristol Brawlers, their team comp does still outscale. Like similar to last game. Not quite as hard, but still very hard.
Coffee coming in with the gang. We are seeing teleport coming through. Not sure. I think that is going to be Thane joining the fight. Looking for this is a short name who uses Zhonya's immediately. Still a good bit of damage coming in from Thane. Uses the ultimate to manage to pick up a kill. Frozen Thralls are doing decent damage. iThrow manages to get one kill, as does the Urgot, but Nautilus has turned it back onto Coffee. AD now being left to run for his life. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, we did see the Brawlers able to secure themselves the Herald, but at what cost? The Dredge Line connects. The root is there. The Featherstorm is used. AD is dead, and that's going to be high BMI, low IQ. 6-0. He doesn't believe in assists.
And Addy thought he'd done the smart thing. He lands the hook, instantly pops the stopwatch, thinking that the tower shot would do the work. But the stopwatch saves iThrow's life. And that turns the fight in their favor. But the thing I want to point out here is we've got a 6-0 Urgot. And yet, Kennen has not been in a single major fight this entire game.
I mean, what a difference. I mean, it's like essentially the complete polar opposite to what we saw in the last game with the effectiveness that Kled eventually was able to have. That's what Urgot has been in this game so far, with his teleports on point, clearing things up, looking so good.
So this Rift Herald has been taken from by the Hecarim, so he's rushing down to the bot lane right now to be able to drop that Rift Herald for the Caitlyn and the Nautilus to try and take this tower, and then likely lane swap them up to the top side of the map, where they can try and get control of mid lane that way by getting the two outer towers back to back, using their bot lane advantage and snowballing there. But this is still difficult. There's a lot of execution that needs to be done to give Bristol Brawlers back control of this game.
Turret plates have just fallen. The only turret plates that fell were in the bot lane, and it could be a support that's falling as well. Ace in the hole, helping Pidge manage to pick up a kill here onto the Karma. This is a short name having a real rough time in this game, having the Morgana banned away from him, not having the same success on the Karma as of yet. However, the rest of the Kingston Harriers doing very well around him. The gold lead is still so very, very close. Both of these teams looking strong in certain points of the Rift. Yes, we've got a 6-0 Urgot, but look at this Hecarim, who has got a 20 CS advantage. Look at Caitlyn, who has a 40 CS advantage over the Zyra as well. This game could still go either way.
And it seems to be the opposite effect to the last game, where it's the all the kills going to the Kingston Harriers, but the CS lead in the bot lane is evening it out for the Bristol Brawlers.
Well, here comes a kill for the Bristol Brawlers. The Regan is going to use the Zhonya's. He's going to use the ultimate, and I have to eat my words once again. Regan, you absolute hero, going away from a 4-man gank with an almost full health bar, dashing forward into the parallel convergence. Gelatin Skeleton trying to get the damage down, but there was no harming the Harriers mid laner.
Imagine getting hit by 4 people and then ulting on 10% HP and going back to full instantly. Still surviving the fight, as they're going to get the mid lane tower off the back of this.
Kingston Harriers decide they want a bit of a dive now. Coffee being caught out by turret shots, has got to be careful. He will be the first to die in this fight. Gelatin Skeleton getting one. Here comes Nice Penta. Finally we see him in a fight with the Slicing Maelstrom. He is able to take down Regan, who, as we know, does not have an ultimate available after the last fight that went down. This is a short 9. He's trying to get out of there before he gives away his 5th death of the game. Crucially, Urgot did not die, did not give away that 600 gold bounty, but the pressure has been restored for the Bristol Brawlers as they look towards this mid lane turret.
And I was just thinking, from the fact that Nice Penta Idiot didn't use the TP to come to that bot lane fight, they needed to do something with the Rift Herald they got off the back of it. As iThrow gets picked off.
Ace in the hole straight into their head. That's going to be iThrow dying for the second time this game. We just before that saw high BMI, low IQ throwing out the Fear Beyond Death, but narrowly missing AD, who was the only target low enough on health to have been executed.
Yes, but Nice Penta Idiot didn't use his TP in the previous play. He needed to make a use of that. He needed to find something off the back of it. It may not be the same impact as getting 6 kills on Urgot, but it definitely helps them turn it. They get that mid lane tower, they deny the mid lane tower falling from the Bristol Brawlers, and they get some control again to be able to get back onto the map and fight over this next mountain dragon.
And it is spawning in less than a minute's time. It is such a crucial dragon. It would be a third of the game going over to the Kingston Harriers, because not only had they been getting the lion's share of the kills, but they'd also been taking all of the objectives up until that Herald went down.
So playing a wombo combo composition, you really don't want the enemy team to get a bunch of mountain dragons and get all those bonus resistances, because it makes them so much harder to kill. You need so much more pen to be able to make it work. As this is a short name almost picked off.
I thought he was going to be dead for sure, and he still might be. This is a short name trying to get to safety, knocked back if anything by Pidge, but he is completely obliterated eventually by the Hecarim, who now has the Sheen completed, is doing extra damage every single time he throws his Q out. Helicopter Pony is online. The mountain dragon is here. 6,000 health to be burned through. Will there be any kind of contest from the Kingston Harriers? My heart is telling me no.
It seems like they're just going to give this one up. And that's another thing that we got to talk about with the Mountain Dragon. We talked about face checking a lot more when it's a lot harder to face check when there's so many more brushes. When there's all this terrain blocking your vision as well, it also makes it more difficult to face check. It makes it more difficult to find ways to contest these objectives if you don't have any kind of vision control. And so the Karma gets picked off instantly when she tries to check around that little rock sticking out in the jungle.
You said it earlier on, the Mountain Dragon would play into the hands of the Bristol Brawlers, and ever since the Mountain Dragon rose and brought all of that extra terrain to the Rift, very much so the Brawlers have been the ones who have been more aggressive, have been picking up the one fights. There's now a 2,000 gold lead in their favour.
Bristol Brawlers, with this 2k gold lead, need to do something with it, though, because their mid-game power spike is arriving. We're seeing Lyssandra's getting all this CDR available to herself, where she wants to use ultimate after ultimate back-to-back. Pidge is starting to get towards his item spikes as well. The Kennen going to get that Zhonya's pretty soon. That is the break point where they need to blow this game wide open.
Meanwhile, we do see some crucial items being picked up for champions around the board. That Infinity Edge on the Caitlyn is probably the biggest spike that we can talk about at the moment, especially as it's been picked up alongside another BF sword, probably going towards the Bloodthirster.
No, he's going towards the Stormrazor.
Stormrazor rather than Essence, okay.
Yeah, the Stormrazor is the new choice because it gives you attack speed as well. It gives you 15% attack speed, 25% crit chance.
Which it didn't used to, yeah.
Yeah, and it synergizes with energized attacks, and she's gone for fleet footwork this game, so it synergizes perfectly. You then go for like a rapid fire cannon, and all the synergized attack bonuses all stack on top of each other, meaning you can get an empowered headshot that hits harder than ever before. Well,
that's not going to be something the Kingston Harriers are going to want to deal with. They already got ripped apart by Gelatin Skeleton in the last game as the ace in the hole goes straight through. This is a short name. AD flashing himself out of the damage, out of the shackle. Meanwhile, AD is going to drop eventually to Regan. This is a fight continuing and looking good for the Kingston Harriers. They're taken down 2. They're looking for a third. Pidge trying to run himself away, of course, with no flash available. The Purge doing so very much damage, and high BMI low IQ is now 8-0-1. He got an assist. He's angry. He wants another kill, but he doesn't get it. Ifro manages to get himself his third kill of the game. High BMI low IQ still chasing down Gelatin Skeleton, who is the last remaining member of the Bristol Brawlers. The Herald has just spawned for the second time and will be with us for another 20 seconds. I don't think it'll last that long, though.
Yeah, it's probably going to get picked up very quickly. It's a lot easier to break open the eye, which makes it that much quicker to kill, meaning that they can take this one pretty easily. They should be able to use this to break open that mid lane or bot lane tower. Desperately need to break open that mid lane one to be able to get more control on the map. But that fight went horribly wrong for the Bristol Brawlers, and here's why. They split the engage. Pidge went all in onto the bot lane with no one to follow up yet because Nice Penta Idiot was still too far away. Gelatin Skeleton was hitting nobody while Addy was going in hard. You had your 2 tankiest members in Nautilus and Hecarim trying to dive 3 people. They don't have the damage to do that yet. So Bristol Brawlers get punished for it, and they need to know how to layer these CC abilities much more effectively than that, because everybody arrived to the fight. You know, the animals just came in 2 by 2.
Yeah, and the 2x2, in case, you know, there's anyone out there that's struggling, equals 4. And the 5th person who was missing was Gelatin Skeleton. And actually, you saw the ace in the hole being thrown down from max distance. There were practically no auto attacks put down by Gelatin, who was in such a strong point.
Because the fight was split onto 2 flanks, if he was going to walk in, he'd walk directly into Regan and would die for it.
That's Rachel, actually, Martin. But meanwhile, we are going to see the Herald is going to die before it gets its charge down. But with so many people turning their attention towards this, the Baron started up immediately by the Kingston Harriers. They've burned through 50% of the health already, and Pidge is not even close.
Yeah, but a Nice Penta Idiot just around the corner, maybe looking for something here. He has to. They desperately need this as he has flash ult.
Slicing Maelstrom goes straight in. High BMI low IQ is so very, very low, and that's going to be the first of the year got in this game. In goes Pidge. He gets 1. He gets 2. Comfy is dead. Ifro manages to take down the Hecarim as well, as both junglers are going to be dead in this fight. Thane trying to get himself away from the Time Winder. He's so very, very low on health, does not have ultimate available, and Regan is just chasing down the Lysandra, able to get there before the blast cone is exploded, but now Regan is on completely the wrong side of the map. This is going to be Nice Penta Idiot looking to try and stay alive, because this is a 3 versus 3 that could so easily go back in favour of the Kingston Harriers.
And such unfortunate timing for Thane as well, as the phase dive makes Regan able to stick to him through that glacial path. And it means that he is going to go down on the back side of it, as it was such a good start. Really nice ultimate, and we've talked about it before. Baron shreds everybody's magic resistance by 50%. And then you've got a full magic damage dealer in the Kennen, diving into the pit with his ultimate active. Doesn't matter if you've got a decent amount of tankiness, you're going to get shredded instantly. The Nunu dies, crucially, the Urgot dies as well, and it gives suddenly Pidge enough gold for this Triforce. Now he can build tank.
Sin, this is big right now because we've got ourselves a second Mountain Dragon. This would be a third dragon for the Kingston Harriers as they try to get close towards having the soul. The Bristol Brawlers, it would be their second mountain if they were able to get in, also delaying the Harriers getting towards the soul. There is so much available here, and the teams have to fight around it. Coffee getting stunned up, but he is a tanky old boy. The Mountain Dragon is going lower. It's down to 2,000 health right now, and with that extra little bit of terrain, this is the Brawlers managing to zone people away. It's going to be Mountain getting a little bit of health back, and Coffee losing a significant chunk as well. He's not going to be able to look for the chomp, not going to be able to look for the smite steal because he is dead. Ace in the hole picks up one. This is going to be the bridge line, connecting onto high BMI low IQ. The slicing maelstrom rips his health part asunder. Pidge manages to get one kill, and with two key members of the Kingston Harriers dead, the Bristol Brawlers turn their attention to Baron.
Really nicely played by Gelatin Skeleton as he scouts out the low HP jungler with the blue ward, guessing where he is able to give him vision long enough to land that ace in the hole, meaning that dragon is uncontested, and now this Baron will be as well.
Regan is lurking in the wings. He managed to make a decent play around the last Baron. Will he be able to do the same again? Parallel convergence already splitting up the Bristol Brawlers as they look to secure the big purple worm for themselves. Pidge is very, very low. In goes Regan. He dashed himself straight back out again. This is going to be the big moment for this, the short name, as the flash forward, the shutdown comes in. Smite suddenly is missing for the Bristol Brawlers, but the Kingston Harriers are losing the team fight around it. AD is very, very low. This, the short name, is here. Ifro's managed to join the fight. He's picked up one kill. That's going to be AD dead. This is going to be the double kill. Gelatin Skeleton doing just what he did in the last game, putting the auto attacks in, ripping out the heart of the Kingston Harriers, picking up a triple kill, looking for this, the short name, dodging away from the fear beyond death. This could be the quadra kill, and the ace in the, the Piltover Peacemaker not quite taking down this, is a short name, but in the end the fight went 3 for 3 despite the disadvantage the Harriers had. The teleports were good, the fight was close, the Bristol Brawlers still coming out on top.
And this game is so back and forth, and even though the Bristol Brawlers seem like they've outscaled, Nice Penta Idiot didn't have access to his ultimate. Thane didn't have access to his ultimate for most of that fight, and with the cooldowns low, it gave Regan access to the backline, and he was able to get Pidge low, kill him to deny the Baron, and that's going to make the score 19-19. But this game is on a knife's edge.
I think we both thought that was going to be Baron being secured by the Bristol Brawlers, and full credit to Regan, who we criticised at times in the last game for playing slightly selfishly. This time he was the saviour for his team, making sure that big buff did not go over to the Brawlers.
I wouldn't say selfishly last game so much as overly aggressive, and he got punished consistently for it. But on the Echo, where he's able to get out that much more easily with the Chrono Break, it's saving him time and time again, as now iThrow has been caught out, didn't use his ultimate, it's not available.
He hasn't got a flash available, he has still got a heal, but he's not even able to use it. Nice Penta Idiot able to pick up one kill. That's going to be Regan using the time winder, trying to get himself to safety, but double kill coming in. That's going to be Nice Penta getting a double. Of course, the Baron is still available. AD not quite connecting with the dredge line this time. Coffee is so low, and if Pidge manages to get this pick with the Onslaught of Shadows, he might well be able to turn this game on its head. That's going to be Fear Beyond Death connecting with Pidge. Will his health drop low enough for the execute damage? The answer is yes. There comes the fear out of high BMI low IQ, but here comes Thane jumping straight in, using his ultimate, managing to lock down high BMI low IQ, and that's Urgot set packing from the fight. Overall, a 3 for 1 in favour of the Bristol Brawlers.
But these fights are happening so often that you're seeing one team have all their ults available. The next fight, the other team has all their ults available. So this is just trading fights back and forth at this very moment. Last time it was because Nice Penta didn't have his ultimate. This time, iThrow didn't, and it picked him off instantly. There's great cooldown tracking by Addy.
Knock up from the greatest ever snowball straight onto the Caitlyn, and Gelatin Skeleton is removed from the map by iThrow. What a crucial member to lose, especially with the Baron still up, especially having just won that last fight. Trying to greed, trying to take that turret, not getting it, and now there's a significant man disadvantage for the Bristol Brawlers. Kingston Harriers trying to secure vision around Baron.
And guess what? This time, Bristol Brawlers have no ultimates available. So they're going to find it very difficult to contest this Baron.
Oh, well, here we go. Onslaught of Shadows not available for another 20 seconds also for Pidge. He does have the Ghost available, of course. No flash on this Hecarim. He's dashing in. He's dashing straight back out again because AD is so low. He is so dead despite the dredge line. iThrow is able to pick up one. Nice Penta Idiot coming around the back looking for a potential ultimate. Has got it available. Coffee 123 is lurking, however, and he and the rest of his team are charging towards these two isolated members of the Bristol Brawlers. Thane caught out. That's going to be the ultimate used just in self-preservation, but now he's got a whole lot of Harriers lurking around looking for his blood. Thane is going to be able to flash over the wall. He uses his proto belt to try and get a little bit of separation, but here comes the Nunu. That's going to be no knock-up landing courtesy of Azonia's, but once again Thane completely left out to dry by the rest of his team. Hecarim not going anywhere near this fight. He crucially, however, does have Onslaught of Shadows available if this Baron gets started up.
But he bought so much time that now the wave control is actually in favor of the Harriers. They get a tower mid lane as well, and are still able to try and collapse and contest this Baron with the Kennen ultimate. He didn't use it in that last fight.
And speaking of things not used in the last fight, Gelatin Skeleton was not present at all, and now he is. Despite Thane being missing, this is still a chance for the Bristol Brawlers. This Baron is going low, but there is full vision for the for the Brawlers because of that ward at the back of the pit. Here comes Pidge. He goes straight in, saves the Onslaught of Shadows. That's going to be slicing Maelstrom, ripping through health bars, and Pidge managed to get the first kill onto high BMI, low IQ. However, the turnabout is there as Coffee takes down one. Gelatin Skeleton and iThrow get themselves a kill each. Both the ADCs still alive, but that's going to be Caitlyn taking down the Nunu, looking for the triple kill. That's going to be the feathers being pulled back, but the triple is there for Caitlyn. The ace is here for the Bristol Brawlers, and they're going to be able to take the Baron that did not even fully reset during that entire fight. Thane wasn't even there, and the 4v5 was won by the Bristol Brawlers.
And all the ultimates coincide perfectly to stall them long enough. The Baron had chunked them low. Regan had to use his ultimate just to survive. Comes out of the stopwatch at half HP, just instantly barked. Every single member wasn't able to get their full rotations off onto the members they needed to. They were all panicking. They were caught out of position. Now they lose Dragon as well off the back of it. Bristol Brawlers have taken a commanding lead.
They've got themselves their third Mountain Dragon that will be secured in seconds. 3 members of the Bristol Brawlers will have the Baron buff available. They've got themselves a 4k gold lead, and that fight was all about Gelatin Skeleton.
He went untouched throughout and was able to pick up so much damage on the later sides of it. Now you see, because the AD carry items have changed, and you're able to go for the Storm Razor second that gives you attack speed, crit chance, and AD, your 2-item spike as a Caitlyn is that much bigger. Your 3-item spike is that much bigger. And now she's got the GA as well. Even if she does get pressured out in a fight, she's still going to come back to life with all these big members with so much CC still around her.
Sin, I am so conflicted right now. We are having a phenomenal series. Incredible game number 2 between the Harriers and the Brawlers. I said all along I want this to go to game number 3. However, I don't think there is a flying fixed chance of my voice surviving through what is going to be not only this series being potentially 3 games, but another incredible series that we've got later on as we see the Prestons in battle. The Prestons? The Invincibles.
Invincibles versus the Clyde Claymores still to come after this one as well. So, still got a long day ahead of us of games. And this is just the beginning, but Bristol Brawlers are looking for the end as this Baron buff, on top of getting their, I believe their 3rd Dragon of the game, is now set up for with a big advantage.
3rd Dragon it was indeed, and it was a 3rd Mountain Dragon in a
have
row
so much
as well.
tankiness now.
Nice Penta Idiot, continuing a bit of a split push. However, high BMI, low IQ, popping that Righteous Glory, looking for potential engage. This is still a 946 Urgot. He's still able to scare away the Kennen, and so far, the Bristol Brawlers have not been able to do a single thing with this Baron buff.
I'm just looking at this, like, Pidge, who's bought 1 armor item, probably has about 220 armor right now because of this Mountain Dragon.
Flash forward from the Nautilus using the dredge line, having to force a dash out of iThrow, trying to get to safety, but here comes the rest of the fight from the Bristol Brawlers. They want to end this game right now. High BMI, low IQ with the constant purge, able to get a good bit of damage down.
No one
is so dead. That's going to be Fear Beyond Death, pulling the Hecarim back. Thane is going to be the next to fall as well. That's Echo picking up a kill, and this is the fight going completely in favor of the Kingston Harriers, but Gelatin Skeleton turns it around. He manages to get one for himself. Nice Penta Idiot having to dash away. Gelatin Skeleton still landing the autos, however. He again saves a bit of a fight for his team. The ace in the hole is blocked by this as a short name.
But the fight goes 2 for 1 in favor of the Kingston Harriers because the Kennen ult hit no one in that fight. He's had to base, but the siege is being kept up at least a little bit longer by the Caitlyn and the Nautilus, who now are going to back off through the jungle. That has neutralized a lot of the Baron buff.
which
by the
already had
Kingston
done so
Harriers.
little.
Yeah, it was. They were trying to siege up this mid lane tower. They were trying to get a flank off, but they were able to split up that fight so effectively with another disjointed engage from the Bristol Brawlers. Nice Penta Idiot came in way after Addy's ultimate. Then Pidge came in way after. Thane way after each other, to the point where they're all so disjointed that members are easily split up and picked off. Those members this time were Addy and Thane. And so you need to be on the same page with these engages. You can't let that happen repeatedly, because once again they get punished for a lack of communication.
Honestly, watching this game feels a lot like having watched an ARAM that we saw earlier. From we actually saw Future Sailor, which I'm sure a lot of people on the stream will know and absolutely despise. He was sorry, I mean love. They absolutely love him. He was playing a game and it
Doesn't
exactly
matter.
like
Look at
this
high
one.
BMI low IQ.
Pidge is going to try and catch out high BMI low IQ, but who's really being caught out here? Coffee gets the knock-up coming in,
It's
as
him.
it is going to be high BMI low IQ. He's still alive for now, but now he has only a frozen Thrall in his stead, dashing on forward. All I was going to say about that ARAM is the way that one went was seeing the high health targets being obliterated and then everything else fell apart. That's what's been happening in this game for both teams. The Brawlers have gone in too early and lost some of their key targets. Then the Harriers seem to make the same mistake. We've just seen it out of high BMI low IQ, and here is an opportunity for the Brawlers to push. They do not have the Baron buff anymore, but they are 5 versus 4, and they are laying siege to the inhibitor turret of the Kingston Harriers.
Here comes the next wave immediately afterwards as well. And it is, again, we're at this point of the game where every wave is a cannon wave, so they have the ability to chunk the tower out.
Parallel convergence stun does manage to land on 2. Gelatin Skeleton with the Guardian Angel available does not manage to does not die. Regan going back in, trying to get the assassination onto Gelatin, but it is not going to happen. They managed to get the kill
The
onto
ultimate back
Regan
onto a
yet
K-trap.
again. And Gelatin Skeleton, again, not untouched, but definitely alive. Definitely with the Guardian Angel still there for the survivability. The Bristol Brawlers, they are looking so dominant with their ADC now almost full health again, courtesy of the lifesteal. The Fear Beyond Death goes wide as well, and high BMI low Q will be missing that ultimate for a little while.
And a lot of their safe wave clear is gone with Regan off of the map, so they need to be able to capitalize on this. They're using it to get the dragon, which will give them the Mountain Soul. And I believe their 4th mountain
Their
dragon.
4th mountain. So you were talking earlier on about how so many of these fights would go one way then the other because ultimates weren't up. Ultimates will always be up now for the Bristol Brawlers.
That's Cloud. This is Mountain.
I knew that.
Bonus armor and MR.
It's been a long day. This is a crazy game. I can make mistakes sometimes.
They are going to be tanky as all hell with these, with this 4 mountain dragons. So this comes to 32% bonus armor and MR.
But no ultimate cooldown reduction.
But no ultimate cooldown reduction. The only Cloud Dragon was actually picked up by the Kingston Harriers earlier, I believe.
It was indeed. What a game we have got in front of us. 4k gold lead for the Bristol Brawlers. They still haven't managed to crack the key parts of the Harriers base though. That may change if the second Baron of the game goes over to the Bristol team. Harriers, however, they're going to be determined not to let that happen. But how do they kill Gelatin Skeleton? I haven't worked it out yet, and I don't think they have.
Well, it needs to be Regan. It needs to be Regan getting on top of the backline, but we're seeing so often they're dedicating all their cooldowns to shutting him out of a fight because the Xayah is not enough of a threat when you've got this much tankiness.
Gelatin Skeleton is flashed upon. That's going to be the absolute zero being channeled, and this is the Guardian Angel being popped for Gelatin Skeleton. He is going to be so low as he comes back, and that's going to be Thane dead before the fight even starts. Gelatin Skeleton's gone as well, and with the 2 carries dead for the Bristol Brawlers, this is exactly what the Kingston Harriers needed. iThrow gets a kill onto Nice Penta 80, trying to run away, uses the dredge line, tries to get to safety, but the Purge says, not today, my friend. Nautilus is the 4th to die. The Kingston Harriers will get the Baron.
And it's another fight where they're split up from each other. And crucially, the Kingston Harriers are able to capitalize on the mispositioning of Knights, Penta Idiot, and Pidge, who were both massively out of the way of this engage. So Gelatin Skeleton goes down before they can commit the Cannon ultimate, before they can commit the ultimate from Hecarim to try and disengage. So the AD carry's gone, the key carry is already dead. It just makes it so much easier to clean up without them even losing any members.
Coming soon to a theatre near you, the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. How do you solve a problem like Gelatin Skeleton? Kingston Harriers finally just gave you the answer, and it requires Coffee to flash on top, land a snowball, absolute zero, in comes Regan with the damage. It finally worked for the Harriers, and crucially, that GA is gone from the Brawlers for so long. In fact, I believe it's been sold.
He sold it instantly to complete his last Whisper item because he needs the extra shred for this Nautilus, this Urgot, and this Nunu, who are both so tanky at this point in the game. Look at all these armor items starting to come through now for that Urgot. He has got the Randuin's Omen, the Righteous Glory, and is building towards a Thornmail. You need to be able to shred this 13-6 menace.
Yeah, and going back to nothing. AD, you're going to have to go back to the drawing board at the moment because the Righteous Glory has been popped by high BMI, low IQ. Nautilus still very much caught out, has got the Dredge line cooldown available, trying to get himself into the red side jungle, and Caitlyn Trap will dissuade the Kingston Harriers from tracing any further towards the Supportilus.
Now the Nunu is just going to do this repeatedly. He's just going to walk up to the tower with the W and try and zone them away so they can get this.
Can you imagine if they'd taken the Mountain
by
Dragons?
a single snowball right now. Yeah, if they got these Mountain Dragons, you'd see like an 800 armor Nunu.
Ithro just lost 60% health from one headshot from Caitlyn.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
That's quite a lot of damage.
That's a fair amount. That's a decent amount of damage.
But crucially, Ithro now with the GA available, not there for Caitlyn.
I think we're going to see Caitlyn actually go for the Essence Reaver to finish off 100% crit here and get even more of that
Not the
damage.
buyback on GA.
Not the buyback on GA right now. I don't think she's going to do that until that timer comes. If she gets the gold
through
necessary.
5 minutes? 3 minutes?
It's 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Same as Flash. So
That one I knew.
Yeah. So the cooldown, people generally sell it during that cooldown timer because it is so long. It is a 2,400 gold item. You just buy it back, but you keep the effective stats for the time in the middle if you've got enough gold to do that. She clearly thought she did, so she bought that. The Lord Dominic's regards.
Well, 13, 4, and 13, second highest CS in the game. It's fair to say that
Mortal reminder.
that is a decent move coming out of Gelatin Skeleton. However, not having that Guardian could be so crucial coming into the next fight. We can see that Zeke's Conversions and Knight's Vow both being placed onto this Caitlyn, courtesy of the Nautilus, who's doing his very, very best to keep the Kate alive, to keep Gelatin Skeleton carrying the Brawlers all the way to this semi-final. They are now behind on kills. They are now behind on gold, and they've got to be so careful.
Who needs a Bloodthirster when you have this Mountain Dragon shield? Yeah,
That's your favourite thing, the Death Bush.
The Death Brush, because you don't know what to do. Yay!
But what are you meant to be doing at this point? There's no Baron available. There's no Dragon available. The
Not letting
waves are
yourself
sort of
get pushed
equalised.
in 3 waves, because now the bot waves being pushed in. They go for another.
If you've got nothing to do, why not go for a fight? This is a short name, is ripped apart by Nice Penderidic with the slicing Maelstrom. Coffee 1-2-3 doing everything he can to tank up for his team, but that's going to be a second kill coming in for Nice Penta as he gets the double. He gets the triple, taking down Coffee as well. The complete turnaround from the Bristol Brawlers. There are still 2 crucial members for the Kingston Harriers alive. They've got Regan, they've got Ithro, but right now they are going to have to defend against all 5 members of the Bristol Brawlers because that was the cleanest of fights. The Hecarim went in and out went the Harriers.
Finally, Thane, Addy, and Nice Penta Idiot all synergized together. Pidge goes in just to disrupt and buy them enough time to get into the fight without them all scarpering, and that is enough for them to clean it up. They get that big fight and likely to set up for this Elder.
Without a doubt, is going to go over to the Bristol Brawlers unless something dramatic happens from the Kingston Harriers. High BMI Low OQ will have the teleport upon his respawn. However, Coffee is not going to be able to get near this spawn if I'm not much mistaken. It's going to be close. No, 20 seconds, no chance.
It's
Death Brush number 2, please.
They just wanted to get this vision down and set up for the Elder Dragon by removing that, but the TP coming in mid lane here from Urgot, the
Look
Nunu.
at the speed of this
speeding
Nunu.
through, but he hits a wall. Oh no!
That's exactly what he didn't want. They were going to see Elder Dragon is already started up. Traps are going to catch high BMI low IQ up. He used teleport. He managed to join the team as quickly as he possibly could. Elder is down.
Does so much for them
health.
here.
This is going to be high BMI low IQ flashing in, trying to get the flip. Thane is so very, very low. That's going to be high BMI low IQ getting 1. Lissandra getting the return kill. 1 for 1 so far. The Frozen Falls doing damage. Echo managing to get the kill onto Nautilus, but look at Gelatin Skeleton getting the kill onto Karma, flashing forward, looking for Ithro, forcing the flash out of the Xayah, getting the kill onto Coffee, double kill for the Caitlyn, looking for a third. Regan, you got nowhere to run! Elder Dragon will go to the Brawlers, and they may well take the game. Featherstorm used by Xayah, not able to steal away the Elder Dragon. Ace in the freaking hole!
And the heal is used by Ithro, but it's not enough because the Elder Execute comes through and finishes him off. They've got a long death timers here to deal with. They've got this cannon minion. Maybe they can break open the inhib. They're going to look to try and end the game. And Bristol Brawlers, they find a couple key fights in a row where they layer these abilities on top of each other. Even though it seems like high BMI low IQ was doing so much work, the Caitlyn was untouched. She cleaned up, and at 17-4, Gelatin has done everything for the Brawlers.
41 minutes in, and the first inhibitor is dead. This is the longest game that I personally have seen on this new preseason patch so far, and it is delivering in all sorts of ways. Electric team fights, Gelatin Skeleton, what an absolute hero, now with the Merc Scimitar.
Yeah, buys the Mercurial Scimitar and the Phantom Dancer. He wants survivability in these fights. He wants to stay alive for as long as humanly possible. He wants the cleanses. He wants the extra shields. But he doesn't have the lifesteal. He's relying on the passive lifesteal from Legend Bloodline to keep that up. So now they go on to the Baron. No one really to contest. The Super Minions pushing in mid has kept Coffee away. They need to collapse very quickly.
And very quickly is exactly what they're doing. I'm not sure if they'll be here in time. They're running straight into an onslaught of shadows coming in from the Heck Room. AD already managed to take down Ifro, and with the ADC gone, there are two more members of the Kingston Harriers following shortly after. This could be the doom of the Harriers. The #1 seeds are going out because the 4 kills secured by the Brawlers. They don't need the Baron. They're running straight down the mid lane. Here comes Pidge. He's dashing straight onto high BMI low IQ. The final bastion of hope for the Kingston Harriers. Obliterated by that man, Gelatin Skeleton. Read those numbers and weep, Kingston Harriers. 19-4-19, and the game, the series will go to the Brawlers. They are our first semi-finalists, and they are one step away from a final in their hometown.
And what is shown here is the power of preparation. They came in and they knew their opponents better than any team has done against the Harriers so far. And the Bristol Brawlers, they show up on the day. Gelatin Skeleton, the MVP of this series, looking like the best AD carry we have in Belong, and carrying his team through, even though a lot of work was done by Thane in the mid lane, by the Kennen in the top lane as well, and Pidge in the jungle. It's just all came down to Caitlyn living long enough in the fights and them surviving the fight long enough to give her time to DPS.
Somewhere out there, they're watching this back and going, AD, you did nothing, mate. You didn't get called out by Sid.
Well, I mean, he definitely did a good job on these hooks. He definitely was able to
some really clutch
hooks. But what I was thinking was the Kennen ultimates in these fights, landing like a 3-man CC and shredding them all to half. Caitlyn being given full time to clean up, and even just Pidge with really early ultimates on the Heck Rim consistently ends up working out for them as not him adapting and going with an ultimate with the rest of the team. The team adapts and responds instantly to his engages by him fearing members backwards towards the rest of his team. And you saw the front line was instantly decimated by the Elder Dragon in that final fight.
Congratulations to the Bristol Brawlers. Of course, if the World Championships told us one thing, it's that you can't have a good game of League of Legends without 2 competing teams. The Kingston Harriers, they gave us a bit more than the European champions did in that one. So full credit to them. Disappointment, of course, that they're not going to be able to make commiserations. Congratulations to Bristol Brawlers. After one incredible best-of-3 series,
yeah,
I'm pretty hype. I'm excited. I'm good to go straight away for the next best-of-3 series, which is going to be between the Invincibles,
Preston Invincibles, and the Clyde
Claymores.
Former champions.
Another potentially phenomenal game. I'm ready for it. But you know what? You guys aren't just yet. So we're going to keep you waiting. We're back after a short break.
From here, away from curfews you have, and all those things you hold dear. It would be stupid to throw it away, so let's get out on this boat and stop your crying for days. I wanna see the sea, but amazingly, I'm too scared of water, too scared of water. And I hope that one day you'll find me again. We can run to the top of the mountains. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, would you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? to be clear. We need our best thoughts held dear. We need escape from here. So if I took you back to the place where we first met, would you fall in love all over? Would you fall in love once all over again? So if I took you back to the moment you met me, wouldn't you smile like our first kiss? Would you remember when you fell in love with me? Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. Show me all you know. Tell me what you know. And show me your love. These manic thoughts won't go away. I hope you're thinking and feel the same. Your silhouette, it dissipates into the ceiling. I'm wide awake. Under the starlight, replay the memories that we made. I see the shape of your face. I don't wanna fade, don't wanna turn the page. Is this make-believe? I don't wanna turn around, 'cause all I can see is everything I want right now. It's particles of you floating all around me. It's particles of you here to remind me. Is this make-believe? I don't wanna turn around, 'cause all I can see is everything I want right now. It's particles of you floating all around me. It's particles of you are here to remind me. It's particles of you. It's particles of you.
On my baseline, you get up to this. My baseline, you get light to this. On my baseline, you get up to this. On my baseline, you get down to this. On my baseline, you get up to this. baseline crew get light to this.
Bass, 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 get right, 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 bass, bass. Now my baseline get bass, 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 get right, bass, 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 right, bass. Now my bass, 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 get right, bass, 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 right, bass. Now my baseline get light to this. On my baseline get out to this. On my baseline get down to this. On my baseline get up to this. Now my bass, now my bass, now my bass, now my bass. Now my baseline crew get bass, 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 get bass, 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 mighty bass. Now my bass, 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 get bass, 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 mighty bass. Now my bass, 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 get bass, 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 mighty bass. Now my bass, 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 get bass, 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 mighty bass, 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 get bass, 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 mighty bass. Now my bass, 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 get bass, 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 mighty bass. Now my bass.
Tell me what to say. Welcome back to Brawlers Arena Clash. I hope that your pulses are not racing quite as much as perhaps as were at the end of that last series, because unfortunately Brawlers Arena Clash cannot be responsible for any medical bills that are deemed necessary after incredible series such as the one that we just had.
It's a shame to see the Kingston Harriers go out in the sort of way
really
they did. After having such a strong season, like we said, they ended their final series of the season in 43 minutes and then lose 2-0 in the quarterfinals to a team that just seemed much better prepared than them. And like we said, it seems like their top actually had was pretty outmatched most of the times. Like, he lost the matchup as Fiora, he lost the matchup against the Urgot as well. The jungle was very much Coffee 123 was dictating the tempo of it. Then you look at the bot lane, and it's just Gelatin Skeleton was the only one really outmatching his opponent. But yet again, they utilize that advantage and they leverage it to win everywhere else. It's not like Thane was just stomping his lane. In fact, he was quite far behind. But the control he was given on the map by a winning bot lane was enough to help him set up these plays on the Lissandra, and it was really exciting to see that, even if we did have to deal with just a Mountain Rift twice.
I mean, I think that really actually played into the hands of Bristol, if anything. You
Yeah.
talked about it yourself, about what they would most like to see. Then more or less, in the end, you were exactly right, because they were able to continuously win the fights around the extra terrain. Things went very, very well. It was brilliant how in our first real it was our first pre-season series here on a Belong Arena Clash. We were able to see those Mountain Dragons especially, and the way that the Elementals played out really be such a key part of a victory.
Yeah, I'm excited to see really how it impacts the next season, because aggressive junglers seem to be very much facilitated because you can, like I said, go aggressive and then have a full clear available to yourself. And the enemy jungler can't really prioritize invading so effectively, because he himself is just like, I want to invade the enemy jungle. I want to invade the enemy jungle, but my entire jungle's just spawned. So you're just trying to trading sides of the map, and it doesn't really work out so well, unfortunately. So aggressive junglers are allowed to go so much more aggressively and just focus on prioritizing like aggressive lanes and facilitating, controlling the map through just dominating out the laning phase.
We certainly have an incredible season coming up before us as we come into Season 10, going towards World Championships. And, it feels like a long time away, but you know what? I can't wait. It's going to be great in Shanghai.
By the time we've got the finals, people have finally shook out this meta.
Without a doubt.
For the Arena Clash finals, we'll really understand what the meta has come to be, and I'm excited to see what that looks like.
And here in pre-season and off-season, of course, we had a lot of things that we've had a bit of fun talking about, roster change and all the things that come around the professional side. Unfortunately, one of the things that we're not able to do is to bring you a second series today, because unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, the series between the Claymores and the Invincibles is not going to be shown on the stream. Do check on our Twitter, Belong Arenas, at Belong Arenas on Twitter, to find out exactly what's going. If you want some more updates, of course, we're very sad ourselves because we had such a great series there, building towards another one, but we will be back with the semi-finals next week, and those are shaping up to be fantastic. We're not 100% sure exactly who's in each of them. Of course, we know for definite the Brawlers definitely will be, and which other three teams will join them. Just sadly
Brawlers versus either Lionhearts or the Centurions is going to be incredible.
And I have just had it confirmed that we're not able to show it on stream, unfortunately, but I have just had it confirmed that the Claymores will be one of the two teams in the other half of the bracket, so they will be going up against potentially the London Lionhearts.
No, that's the other side.
They'll be up against the Steelers or the...
it was the Steelers up against...
The Steelers opposition.
The Steelers, whoever the Steelers were against the Pirates. It was the
Pirates.
Portsmouth Pirates.
Yeah, of course. Another fascinating match.
The Steelers versus the Portsmouth Pirates. We expect the Steelers to be able to come out with a win there, but the comeback from the Portsmouth Pirates to be able to scrape their way into the playoffs sounds really interesting to see what they can show in the playoffs.
Alrighty. Well, like I say, I'm very, very sorry not to be able to bring you that second series tonight, but at the very least, we had one fantastic series already. Once again, congratulations to the Brawlers. Congratulations to the Claymores, who have also managed to book their place in the semi-finals, and to the other two teams who off-stream will have done exactly the same. We'll be back same time next week to bring you those semi-finals in all of their glory. But for tonight, I'm Stanley Greyheart Barker, Stuart Sin McLeod. Good night.